cast your eyes back to the year 2004. Stone Ocean has rocked everyone's cock. And, you think, oh god, the JoJo series is done. It's done.
JoJo's fucking done. It's ended.
So
you literally can't go anywhere from that.
No. So the next series that has been announced to be written by Araki is called Steel Ball Run.
Oi, Josuke!
ほう、向かってくるのか。逃げずにこのディオに近づいてくるのか。Do you understand? Oh no!
Just Steel Ball Run. And as you go through it, you're met by a character called Gyro, who seems like a cool cowboy with insane art set in the 1800s Wild West in America. And slowly you're introduced to smaller characters like this Steven Steele and everything. No stands, no nothing. But then a character called Johnny Joestar appears, and it turns out this is part 7 of JoJo, set in an alternate timeline where the history of the Joestars it's different to how it played out in the first timeline.
It's important to note that we've said that the universe reset in part 6, and it's like the ending of part 6 is like it's a new universe. This is not necessarily that resetted universe. Like, it could be for all we know, but it's not actually.
This is just a genuine alternate timeline.
Yes, it's not important to the plot. It just happens to be, a completely different version of events.
Yes.
But it's not in the same universe or the same multiverse necessarily.
No. And it's very clear that because Johnny Joestar, that sounds like Jonathan Joestar, there is this strange ability that they have called the spin, which is similar to Hamon, and this part quickly becomes apparent. It's not exactly like a retelling of parts 1 and 2 and 3. It's more like a look back on his own works and to do a story that has aspects of his earlier works, but remixed into his new.
Well, you've kind of spoiled the thrust of what we will get into more. But it starts off and it's, as we said, completely divorced from everything we've seen so far. At the start, it's just a horse race.
Horse racing.
It's just a horse race. Nothing Gyro has a ball and it has some weird effects, and it's like, okay, something's going to happen with this later on. But aside from that, it's like there's nothing really pointing you towards this being JoJo aside from Johnny Joestar and like some name references.
Yeah.
And okay, so first
it's
of all,
almost like he's abandoned stands at this point.
It's not called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's just called Steel Ball Run, as you said. So this is a new beginning. It's like, oh, he's just doing a new series now. He has, I guess, Araki has his own authorial things that he does, and these are the things that he does, and we'll see where it goes. Turns out it's fucking JoJo Bizarre Adventure Part 7. Whoa, shit. Okay, so anyway, we're introduced. Okay, we actually start with Sandman for some reason.
Yes.
And that is more of a tone setter than anything. Yeah. I guess like a false
Wild West,
like a cold open sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Strange things that are happening in the rocks. Introduced to Sandman as a character and his abilities to run, and like the sort of like the period, like the racial tensions between the West and the Native Americans.
Yeah. And it's revealed there is a big horse race happening from one end of America, San Diego, all the way to New York. Is it San Diego? I'm pretty sure it's San Diego.
Similar to It's a Wild World, or Mad World.
Sort of, yeah. So, and the scale of this race is unbelievable. It's like he even makes a point of like, okay, so obviously they don't use. There's like an author's note saying, obviously they didn't use the metric system back in America, and they still don't because they're fucking stupid. So he's like, I'm gonna do everything in metric, and I'm gonna use like up-to-date currency. It's like fucking $200 billion or whatever the fuck the prize money.
Crazy.
It's like unbelievable the scale of this race and its effects on the entire world. It's like the biggest news that's ever happened in the history of humanity.
And all the big players from all across the globe have some sort of stake in this race.
Yeah. So you're immediately set up like, okay, this is a race across America. We're going to see some sights. We're going to meet some crazy people.
Yeah.
And the first person we're introduced to is, as you said, Gyro Zappelli.
Who is, I will say right now, he's my favourite character in all of JoJo. He's the best character in all of JoJo.
Fair enough.
I love him. I want to be him. He has teeth that say Go-Go Zappelli on them. And he goes Nyoho.
He has golden grills. The first thing you see, he walks into the like the registry office.
Yeah.
He fucking chucks down a load of jewels, right?
Yeah.
Or is that Sandman? I can't remember. He chucks down a load of jewels, whatever. And then he fucking smiles at them because they're like, what the fuck? This is like 10 times more than you need.
And he's like,
he smiles at them. He's got gold grills, and they say "Go-Go Zappelli" on them. And you're like, okay, this is fucking sick. So he walks out of there. Someone like talks shit about his balls or whatever, and he's like, "What the fuck did you just say about my balls, bitch?" Pulls out his balls, fucking spins them around, fucking
slaps some balls into someone else's face.
He slaps some balls in someone's face so that he points the gun at himself and shoots himself. And then a little crippled boy called Johnny Joestar sees this, and he's like, whoa, what the fuck is that? What's going on there? So he fucking pushes himself on his wheelchair over to him, and he sees that in the holster, the ball is still spinning. He's like, yo, what the fuck's this? He goes out to grab Gyro's balls, touches it, and suddenly he starts fucking standing up. He's like, oh, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. And then
like,
this goes, and then he's like, oh, teach me. And then Gyro's like, fuck off, mate. Teach yourself, you little fucking bitch.
I'm not teaching you the secret of my balls. If you want to earn my balls, you have to fucking
You can't touch my balls.
Yourself.
You have to prove yourself worthy of my balls. We're doing a podcast on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And then this leads Johnny to also enter the race.
Despite being literally
unable to ride a fucking horse. Well, he's not really. He says he's not able to because he's crippled. He hasn't ridden a horse since he became crippled.
Yeah. So, okay, the actual motivation, he touches the ball and he feels like he can stand. In fact, he does actually start standing. So he's like, okay, you need to teach me this ball technique that you have, Gyro. And he's like, no, fuck off, bitch. You little crippled bitch. He's like, okay, I'm going to fucking follow you until you teach me. I'm going to prove myself to you. He's like, all right then, motherfucker, I don't give a fuck. Leave me.
Yeah.
So they both enter the race, and it's for a while, it is just a horse race.
Yes.
And
I mean, you
really
have some referenced characters like Avdol, who rides a camel instead of a horse. You have Savik Stroheim, who drives a car.
Is that right?
Yes. You have
this extremely handsome man called
incredibly beautiful English man.
This fucking beautiful paragon of humanity called Diego Brando.
Diego
and his hat says
Brando.
Dio on it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that's a JoJo reference. Iraqi made a JoJo reference. That's pretty cool.
He's finally done it. He's put Dio back in. He's wanted it for a while. He's done it again. Dio's back in the series, boys.
It's a horse race across America for an absurd amount of money, and for the first several chapters it is just a horse race, and it's done really fucking well.
Yeah, it's done really well, and they use the main thrust is that they use Gyro uses the spin on his balls to then affect certain things so that he can get an advantage. Nothing, no like crazy fucking battles or anything. Then we see Poco.
I actually want to talk about it just being a horse race for the start.
Okay.
Because I Okay, so obviously we all know that it is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7 when we started reading it. So it's like, when are they going to introduce stands? And I thought I was going to be like bored until we got to that point.
Yeah.
But the horse race stuff is really fucking good because he brings the JoJo like fight logic into horse racing. So like I just remember the part where they're like crossing a bridge and like Gyro's analyzing Diego's horse's like pace
and breathing
of his
and
legs. Yeah, and it's like, okay, the resistance of the wooden bridge, it means he's gonna like go this specific path, and there's gonna be wind resistance here, and shit like that. And it's like, it's really fucking impressive how he made like this such a different format still fit in to the feeling of JoJo. And I was like, if this is just a regular old horse race for 90 chapters, I'll be fine with that.
It'll be fun. It'll be good. It'll be well written. I'll be, Then we get introduced to Poco Loco, who is I think he's a freed slave. Is that right?
Maybe. Well, I mean, it's quite a bit after that.
He's quite free spirited, free willed. He just doesn't want to work too much, and he gets He's just chilling. He gets a what's it called? Like a reading, by Mystic, who is Enya. I believe. And she says that he's the luckiest man in the world. He is the absolute incredible top draw luck. He's the luckiest person ever. And so on this, he thinks he's like so optimistic. He takes a punt and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna enter the Steel Ball Run."
Fuck it, I'll enter Steel Ball Run. Yeah,
and so it appears he's quite lucky. He's like dodging over. He's like, things are happening. Like he accidentally hits like a corpse of a cow and somehow flies himself into the lead. And you get like crazy shit happens, and you think, okay, he's just lucky. That's his thing. And you see like a stand-like creature appear and talk to him, and you think, oh, has this guy got a stand? But then it's sort of like, it's not necessarily that he's got a stand. It's just like maybe he's just lucky, and this is just like a thing that this series does now. So you're never quite sure.
Given, yeah, and you're given right away like the key players of the race. You've got obviously Jono and Gyro.
Yeah,
they're not together at this point,
but they're tied. They interact with each other a lot, and they're together.
Yeah,
you get Diego
Johnny's
Brando.
Basically he's just tailing Gyro just to see what happens.
Yeah,
you've also got Diego, as we mentioned,
Stephen Steele and his wife Lucy, the owner of the race itself, and his young 14-year-old wife Lucy Steele. We'll get to that later, but and do you get introduced to like the fact that they're speaking to the president early?
No, the president's obviously involved because it's such a huge race.
Yes,
and you do see
the presidential wagon,
it's mainly those guys and
and a couple of like Norisuke Higashikata.
Like the top 10 you always sort of see around.
Georgie Porgy. Some of the like the just racers who are there. Mountain Tim. Some of the racers.
I think they're like the main ones.
Yeah. And then as they get to like the first, because obviously it's like set up into checkpoints. If you get first, you get money. Blah blah blah. It's set up into checkpoints, and then when you get to the first checkpoint, I believe, how do they first start finding the Devil's Palm?
I think it was after the first. I think the first checkpoint is just completely just straightforward.
Yeah,
like just horse race. There's nothing weird actually going on.
No,
at that point.
It's mainly about Johnny trying to learn how to use the spin.
Or even like at this rate, it's pretty much just him trying to convince Gyro to talk to him in the first place. So Gyro eventually starts like caving in a little bit, going, "All right, you're a tenacious motherfucker. I'll give you that. I'll hang around you a little bit." Pardon me. And then, yes, at some point, there's a thing called the Devil's Palm that they have to pass through, which is a mysterious shifting point in the desert which has no fixed location. It seems to just move around and have a will of its own. And the natives have known about it for millennia, and they fucking fear it because if
a lot of the people who go into it die.
They just fucking die. But some people who go through it, come out the other end, tend to gain mysterious powers.
Yes.
And
hello, Stans.
It stands. They're back.
Oh.
In the
boy.
Okay, so stands are introduced again in a less than stellar way.
Yes.
The first stands that we see are fucking. I don't even remember. Tomb of the Boom.
Tomb of the Boom. Oh Lonesome Me. And I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's Tomb of the Boom. The Boom family, or what the fuck they're called, attack them.
All three of them have the same stand.
Well, actually, yeah. Well, actually, the fight starts before we see stands, and then halfway through the fight, like, what the fuck is that thing standing behind them? Is that a stand?
Yeah.
Then Mountain Tim comes and is like, it's called a stand. And
you're like,
it's JoJo. But okay, the fight is pretty shit. They're magnetic, and they use like the iron in the sand to fucking like bullets get magnetized to like whatever. We've seen it. It's literally Mariah again.
Yes. Wait a minute. That's not the first stand though, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Isn't the fuck, what's his name? The bloke who can explode cactuses.
Oya Komava, that's after.
Oh, is that Oya Komava? Okay. I swear he was like the first person introduced as like a villain.
I think that's like immediately after.
You're probably right. Okay, yeah. So it's Tomb of the Boom, metallic, magnetism, and clearly stands. Then you see Oh Lonesome Me, which is just rope.
It's just rope. And you're like, oh, okay, it turns out this is JoJo, but these stands are pretty fucking weak.
Yeah. So they're like more simplified, as in it turns out that Araki tends to like reuse a lot of these stands, like the powers that we've seen before, but in different creative ways. Mainly because, part 6 is so many fucking Dragon's Dream.
Yeah. Exactly.
So he's sort of taking some of his previous concepts and making them cleaner and work better.
And they're also not very different, but a subtly different flavour of stands in general. So like in the previous, I guess we'll say like the original universe or whatever, the stands, it's like, they have an ability, but they also punch the fuck out of each other.
Yeah.
In this part and part 8, there's a very, very distinct. It's like they're not just like figures that punch each other that happen to have abilities. It's like they impart their abilities to their user. They're more like a personification of the ability itself, rather than a ghost that punches other ghosts.
Yes.
And that change is, you don't notice it at first, but at some point during the part you realise that these aren't. They're not punch ghosts. They are. I mean,
they still are. I mean, Soft and Wet later is a punch ghost.
No, they definitely are, but there's not the point, and you're not really, because like in the previous part, it's like, oh, Gyro's going to punch them to death.
Yeah,
the solution is never going to be punch them to death. No, it's going to be all about the abilities, and it's a subtle distinction, and I think it works much better. I think
it's more about the actual ability itself.
Yeah,
and how they can use that specific ability.
And that was always the more interesting part anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously. So the fact that it's more focused about that, and the designs are also based more on that concept. So there's a lot of non-humanoid stands, and I really love the designs of all of the stands in this part. I think they're fucking great.
Same. Especially Lonesome Me, which is just rope.
It's just rope, yeah. So...
That's literally what the stand is. There's nothing. It's just rope.
Okay, there's some stinkers, as we said. But anyway, so...
Tomb of the Boom, the thing is, I think Tomb of the Boom is really shit, though, because it's very confusing in that 3 people have the same stand of the family. that's not a very clean way
Yeah.
to introduce stands. I mean, Poco Loco is more like a, hey, he has a stand. This one person has a unique ability. But like Two of the Boom is like, oh, what? So people, a family can have this, they can share a stand, or what?
Yeah.
You know,
It's a messy start.
Nessie start.
Yeah, as I said, I was enjoying the horse racing, and then it turned to this. I was like, oh, what? I was looking forward to this being JoJo again, and now it's really fucking weird.
Yeah.
But it quickly picks up, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. So then, it's mainly it doesn't focus too much on the actual stands, because as they go into this Devil's Palm, I believe it's not when they get the. It's when Wired, they're fighting Wired, right? They actually enter the Devil's Palm itself. Johnny Joestar and Gyro. That, suddenly things are just disappearing. They're just disappearing out of nowhere. Which is interesting as a thing. It's like, what the fuck is happening? And Gyro is gone. He's like been kidnapped or taken. And Johnny is weak as fuck. He's a crippled man who's weak. He can barely use spin, right?
Can't you spin? Yeah.
And he gets knocked into the dirt and happens to pick up a corpse's arm, which then melds into his own body, because Araki loves body horror, imparting on him an ability called Tusk. Well, he doesn't. It's not called anything. He names it Tusk, but and I think it's a decent fight, because he realizes that someone's basically watching them from above and is using like a fishing hook almost to try and get him. So he has to crawl very slowly through the desert to the location of the enemy stand, and he does this by using the rotation of his fucking fingernails. I find this stand fucking gross, because I hate fingernails and shit being moved, and this whole thing is like his fingernails fly off and that's his power.
Yeah, he does make it very clear that the fingernails themselves literally fly off of his fingers, and they have to regrow back.
Yes.
So
he has to drink certain teas to help them regrow.
Yeah, that's right. It's like herbal tea that makes it grow back slightly faster. So yeah, right off the bat, these stands are very, very simple in their design. Two of the Boom fucking magnets.
Two of the Boom
Tusk
magnets.
Shoot fingernails.
Basically finger gun.
Yeah,
Wired is literally Beach Boy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're all stuff we've seen before.
Yes.
But it's reimagined and recontextualized in a new setting.
Yes.
So, and it doesn't feel repetitive in a way.
No, because once again the setting is very interesting, and the applications of them are different.
Yes, and the way the fights actually play out is completely different. So it's familiar, but it's new shit. It's a new context, new everything. So Johnny has a stand. It's called Tusk,
and he gains it from a corpse part. Very bizarre.
From a corpse.
They recovered Gyro. He's like, oh, that's weird.
That's weird.
And
anyway.
It turns out that some strange text gets written in the stand in Latin or something.
Yes.
And it's very, very weird. They're just like, what the fuck? Maybe this leads to something. So they record it, and then they carry on the race. And they turn out, they figure out that the text is pointing them towards a mountain range. And so they go, okay, let's fucking go there. And obviously there's loads of like stuff about we can't ride the horses in the night because they break your ankles. We need to conserve stuff. They have character development where they interact with each other. That's the best part of this entire story is Gyro and Johnny's friendship.
Yes.
It's really good.
It's really good. I mean, I don't really know what we can say aside from the fact they're great.
They're great.
They bounce off of each other. They develop with each other. Like they
both have
spur
flaws.
Each other on.
They both have.
They have goofy moments to make the relationship that more real.
Yes.
It
takes time to just develop them as friends.
Yeah, and there's not like so whenever you have like these two guys they don't like each other but they've got to work together.
Yeah.
And there's always that turning point where they're like, where they're like, oh, you fucking saved me in this fight. I'm gonna be your friend now,
Yeah.
and then everything's fine and everything stays the same. It's like it's an actual steady,
slow
progression of friendship.
Yeah.
And it's like it keeps going all the way up until the end. They're just becoming better and better friends.
Yeah,
and it's
they
great.
really trust each other at the end. And it is literally like they barely interact, they barely talk to each other, they barely like share each other's secrets, and then slowly, it just very slowly and gradually, smaller things, like smaller, as you would with someone you've barely spent time with, it ramps up until they become basically inseparable.
Yes. And they are. This is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but they are both the main character of this part.
Yes.
Like it's not about Johnny Joestar. It's about Johnny Joestar and fucking Gyro.
Similar to how basically Bucciarati is the main character of Part 5. Gyro is essentially the main driving force of the story.
Yes.
Has the most character development. And Johnny, basically, his like whole motivation is, I want to figure out the spin so I can walk again, which is kind of a selfish motivation.
Yes.
And then he goes, oh, well, I mean, I got some cool powers from the corpse part. Maybe we should collect the corpse part, and that's about it.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, if you're not... So Gyro, throughout all of this, even though they're becoming closer friends, is like, he's not going to teach him the spin because it's a fucking ancient Italian technique. Mm-hmm. And while you were riding the horse, I was studying the balls. So he's like, okay, if you're not going to teach me the fucking spin, I'm just going to gather the corpse parts and see if I can, like, walk as a result. It's like, okay, bitch. Well, I'm going to win this race, though. He's like, yeah, okay, well, I'm more focused on the corpse parts.
Okay, you little crippled bitch. You fucking little crippled
Right, you little crippled bitch. Yeah. So they
go to the mountain to find this, you know, the location of this next part. Gyro's with them.
Yes.
And then they get attacked by dinosaurs.
They get attacked by dinosaurs.
Dio is turning into a dinosaur. Oh no! Wait, no. This is afterwards. Wait, no. This is at the same time. Diego is there, and he has like cracks, and he looks like fucked up like a monster. And it turns out
he starts eating rocks. He eats rocks.
Yeah.
It turns out he's been turned into a dinosaur.
Yeah. One of the stands is like infectious dinosaurs. Which is like a virus that turns people into dinosaurs.
Yes.
And they find the other stand part, the other corpse part. Gyro puts it into his fucking eye.
It is an eye, yes.
He
replaces his eye.
Yes. His you see what is the like the stand guardian of the corpse part. But the only ability he gets is like an eyeball in his ball, which gives him just upgrades his general spin techniques and lets him see with the ball there. Yes.
It's important. I can't remember, but I think both eyes are there at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Diego doesn't have a stand. He's been turned into a dinosaur by another stand user. That stand user gets defeated, but he's still a dinosaur. And because he picked up the other eye, he took on that stand, even though the stand user was dead. So he basically stole that stand.
Yes.
In some weird way.
This is why I was very much like, oh, what are they doing with stands? This like he can steal a stand. He hasn't got his own stand. He has to steal a stand that is already, someone else's. Like
it's very strange. But JoJo is not about the details as we continually say. So it's fine. Dio is now a dinosaur man, and he can turn other people into dinosaurs. And that's that.
Thematically, though, it does make sense because
it does make sense.
Diego is, as you'll find out, he's very much like he'll take anything he can to give an advantage in this world because he comes from nothing. So him taking someone else's God-given ability is, I think that does thematically work. Later on. And it's just weirdly handled at the start, and it feels a bit like, oh really? That's what you're gonna give Diego dinosaur powers? Okay.
Yeah, it does feel very chaotic at the start, and I think it's because it's like you already know what stands are. It doesn't actually fucking matter what the rules are outside of the core fundamental stand thing of effective distance, and if you defeat the user, you defeat the stand, all that sort of shit. So aside from that, it's just it's just Araki bringing in all of these ideas. And as with every JoJo part, it often feels like he doesn't know what the thrust of it is until a certain way through. And that's also the case with this. Obviously, I assume that a lot of it was planned in advance, but I think with the exact specifics of stands, it feels like it doesn't really fucking matter. And I don't think he fucking knew what the fuck. But yeah, as we've seen in the previous parts, all of the characters now are given good fucking backstories, good motivations, and good development.
Yes.
The three main Gyro, fucking Johnny, and Diego. Backstories explained right off the bat. All fucking great backstories.
Yes. Gyro is from an Italian executioner's family.
Yes.
And
Sicilian, right?
Yes, and he's basically like.
Well, not Sicilian.
It's like, well, yeah, it's near the Vatican. It's a very holy place. It's like the holy executioners.
Oh, it's Naples. It's Naples, yeah.
And a child is wrongly accused of dying, but accused of a crime and is sentenced to death. And Gyro has been tasked with the execution, and as his family is you need to be completely detached from emotion to do your job.
Yes.
And Gyro cannot accept this injustice, and basically negotiates that if he can win the Steel Ball Run, he'll gain the freedom of this child. And there's a reason why that the church agreed to this.
Yes,
but it's more into it as like a fame and fortune to the church at the start.
He's basically just buying the kids bail.
Yes,
more or less.
So he believes.
So Gyro is entering for selfless reasons. He's joined the race to save the kid. That's nice.
Yes.
So Johnny Joestar, master jockey, So actually, how much should we say on his backstory? I guess we'll start where they start. He's a master jockey. He's a cocky motherfucker. He's like, I'm the greatest jockey that's ever lived. Pushes in front of the line to the fucking Nickelodeon. He wants to see the 5-second video of the train coming at the camera.
Yeah.
And then the guy behind is like, you just pushed in. He's like, shut the fuck up. I'm Johnny Joestar.
Bitch.
I'm Johnny Joestar.
You fucking crippled bitch.
Like,
you fucking
well, now you're a crippled bitch. Boom! Shoots you in the fucking spine.
Yeah, what are you gonna fucking say?
It's
Like
crippled,
bitch.
Calling Johnny Joestar a crippled bitch is a tradition, and we will uphold that tradition throughout this podcast. But actually, speaking of which, it's very fucking bold once again of Araki to make the main character in a action manga a fucking paraplegic wheelchair user.
Oh yes.
And like it's not like he forgets that he's in a wheelchair and he's like doing all this action shit. It's like him not being able to use his fucking legs is a serious impediment
to horse riding, and he acknowledges this, and he's like, I can just use my God-given ability of like great jockeyism, whatever it is, to just barely keep up with everyone else, but I'm at serious disadvantage.
Yes.
And so so obviously they're like, oh shit, we need to collect these fucking corpse parts. There's another map to the next corpse part, and it's still a race to each different checkpoint. And it's very weird that each of these checkpoints lines up with each of these maps that the corpse parts are giving them.
Yeah, coincidentally, the maps that the corpse parts write happen to be the checkpoints of the Steel Ball Run race. What a strange coincidence. Mm-hmm. Strange but happy coincidence.
So they're obviously a bit suspicious of this, and we carry on. We fight some other stand users. We meet Hot Pants and Cream Starter, i.e. the healing stand, and he gets zombie horse wire. Whatever, the healing stand. And it pretty much is just like standard JoJo, but with like interesting horse riding. Like even the race, like it goes from like battles, and then sometimes like as they come to the finish of like a checkpoint, that's like an extra layer. It's like, okay, he's using his spin to create a bridge out of something, and then he's using his stand to hit this thing to then, and it's like you could split up the whole manga into like 2 parts, and that part is like a fight against the stand user, and another part is finishing the race against these other what will be stand users.
Yeah.
And it is great. It's really great. I love that they mix it up like this.
And yeah, I as I've said multiple times, it's like I think Araki does the single setting thing well, and this is obviously it's quite literally a road trip across America, but it's as strong as the other setting, like as like the more as part 4, as fucking part 6 is saying. It's like because everything is so interesting, and like every location has a flavour to
different
it.
Sceneries, different weather, different.
Yeah, but it's all very. It's still all unified in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything feels connected. Everything feels like a progression of the last one.
Yes.
It has like just as much character as the single location as the other ones does.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like this as a road trip is much better than like Stardust Crusaders did and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just like obviously they find corpse parts and they lose corpse parts, but still have the stand's abilities. Except for Gyro, who doesn't. When he loses the corpse parts, he doesn't keep the stand ability. So it's very bizarre. Obviously, it's like, okay, do the corpse parts give you the stand abilities, or does the devil palm give you the stand ability? Whatever, don't think about it. The corpse parts are the devil's palm, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You get some really interesting fights and stuff. But I think it just... I think, what else? Should we just... I don't know. Do we go to Mandem or do we go to Funny Valentine, like, introduction?
I think Mandem, because Mandem also introduces the fact that Funny Valentine is involved.
Yes, okay. So, basically, in, I think it's like the 3rd or 4th checkpoint of the race, Johnny and Gyro singing the Pizza Mozzarella song. Pizza Mozzarella, great.
Oh, that's fucking good. That's a great song.
That's really great.
You should
really,
start a band.
Really great. They realise that they've been walking through an orchard and they keep getting lost. And they're like, fuck, we need to figure out what's going on here. This is when they come up against Mandem. Or what's his fucking name? Ringo
Road again.
Who is such a cool fucking guy. He's just like a cowboy he's like the quick draw cowboy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we said, so like up to this point, a lot of the stands have been like, we've seen this sort of thing before. It's not. It's a decent fight, but it's nothing too crazy good, right? After the high of the ending of part 6, like it's a stand battle. It's like we've had a bomb one that puts fucking ticking time bombs onto things.
It's like a lesser
like
Yoshikage Kira.
Yeah, exactly.
You got the rope one.
Then we get to Mandem Ringo Road again, which by the way is the best name ever.
Yes. Johnny Joestar's incapacitated by being shot.
Well, just fucking slow down there, cowboy.
Okay.
Right. So they're trapped in this orchard. They can't seem to find their fucking way out. Hot Pants is also there. Can't seem to find a way out. It's like, good morning, gentlemen. I will now hang you by this tree because you fucking killed my cow. You ate my cow. She gets stuck as well. Then some random cunt comes in. It's like, I can't fucking get out of here. I keep finding my way back to this hut. I'm going to see who's in here. He's like, and Ringo comes out. The guy's like, hey, can you tell me how to get out of here? And he's like, if you want to get out of here, you have to kill me. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Can you just like point me the way out? He's like, no, if you want to get out, you have to kill me. They have a duel. Ringo gets shot in like the shoulder, but the other guy ends up getting fucking killed. And he's like, so Ringo's like, that was an excellent duel, thank you very much. Bows, goes back in. While Hot Pants, Gyro, and Johnny are watching, it's like, what the fuck
just happened
there?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Anyway, let's get out of here. They can't get fucking out. They keep coming back to the hut. Yeah. It's like, okay.
They're right in the map, like the turns they take, and it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And it doesn't make sense even when the stand is revealed. But whatever.
Yeah, it's not important. There's much more important things at play here.
Yeah, of course. And then
so
so they challenged Ringo to a duel, essentially.
Yes.
Johnny loses. Doesn't die because he's a JoJo character, a main character. And so it's like a standard Mexican standoff from films. Gyro with his balls, and Ringo with his gun.
Ringo explains that he finds the only way to better oneself, like in a true, like important, meaningful way, is to like how best to actually word it.
Is to overcome difficulty and strife in the hardest moments of death, basically.
Yes, to have a real motivation to overcome an obstacle, and to have in like a fair fight, and a fair duel is the best way to do that.
To better one's own skills is to...
Yes.
Yeah.
And we get a flash. Well, no, actually, let's not do that part yet. So anyway, Johnny challenges him. Is it Johnny that challenges him to a duel?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, they challenge him to a duel. But they have a little plan. Hot Pants on the roof. Gyro's they're gonna do some shit, and the fight proceeds as normal. And then Ringo's like, he realizes that they're cheating in a way. Fucking shoots the fuck out of Johnny. Johnny's bleeding out on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't have fucked with this guy. But obviously he's got to be a stand user, right?
Yeah.
Something weird is happening. So, turns out his stand allows him to rewind time
by 6 seconds.
By exactly 6 seconds. And he has to physically rewind his clock, but that's not actually the stand. It's just like that's the
trigger.
Has found. Yeah, that's how he decides to trigger it.
Yeah, almost like a tick, like something he religiously does anyway.
Yeah,
becomes part of like the trigger.
And he uses, and the way that plays into his philosophy of bettering himself is that he can keep like trying a duel until he finds the way to improve.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he like loses a duel or whatever, he rewinds time 6 seconds, takes the knowledge of what he did wrong and how he can improve himself, and he applies it. So he's bettering himself.
Yes.
And we get a flashback of him as a little baby boy.
Extremely sickly. He's got haemophilia.
Extremely sick. Yeah, haemophilia.
He's just a weak, ill person.
Bones.
Like,
yeah.
And he's always been doted on by his mother, and it turns out that one day some I don't know, a criminal or
while he's asleep,
ex-soldier just breaks in, murders his family, and attempts to rape him.
Yes.
Obviously, I was like, "Fuck!" You know, what is this? Berserk? What?
Yeah, it's got
and
fucked up really quickly.
And then he pulls his gun, the enemy's gun, on him, and threatens to kill him. And it's in that moment, it's like a duel to the death. He's like, "No, don't do this. You'll live or whatever." And he manages to overcome this and kill his assailant. And doing so awakens something in him as like it makes him stronger. He no longer feels ill. He feels this like enlightenment, this like real, what he calls his true man's world.
Yes.
And that becomes his like philosophy. He goes off and joins the war, blah blah blah, gets a stand, and reports straight to President Funny Valentine. This is an excellent fight between Gyro and Ringo, as it's like conflicting ideologies. As they fight each other, barely killing each other, but not really, and they both draw.
Like this fight is one of the most important fights in the part, and it's the turning point where the part really noticeably starts getting really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
So Ringo sort of he's beat Johnny. Johnny's fucking bleeding out on the floor, and Ringo points out, like, because Gyro then comes in, he's like going to avenge Johnny. He's like, "You cannot beat me because you do not truly believe in what you're doing.
Yes.
You have no
true conviction.
Like you have no actual conviction. You're just doing this because you think it's right.
Yeah.
There's no actual feeling that this is something that you have to do.
Yes.
Johnny, on the other hand, when I've dueled him, I could see in his eyes there's fucking literal flames in his
killing
eyes.
intent. Yeah.
that he is
this burning desire
everything in his life
wants.
is fucking this is his purpose in life, and you don't have that purpose. You are a little bitch, Gyro. And
yeah, you little fucking ball bitch. You little fucking bitch.
No. So
he eventually does overcome it after like just some great fighting, mind powers using the spin. Yeah, because the spin can do fucking anything.
A good JoJo fight happens.
Yes, a good JoJo fight happens. And then at the end, Gyro acknowledges the wonderful fight, and Ringo acknowledges him, and Gyro adopts this ideology of the true man's world into his own.
There's that amazing panel of Gyro's just killed Ringo. Ringo's falling back. Blood is coming out of every part of him, and he's like, "Welcome to the true man's world." Yeah. He's fucking dead. Gyro's there. It's like this is it. This is the shit.
Oh yeah.
This is the shit.
And it makes me laugh because the Mandem, the stand, is named after a fucking song that was on some sort of like shaving commercial or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like a cologne ad.
Yeah. I love you, Araki. Never change. It's really good, and Johnny gets revived by Cream Starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cream Starter. Yeah.
Because the stand puts flesh into the whatever.
Yeah. Puts up. Yeah. Whatever.
The healing stand. It's really good. That is like top. Just so good. Just as a single fight. By this point, Ringo's already relayed the information of the next corpse part to Funny Valentine, and so it's like, oh, okay, this conspiracy goes to the top. The person who's organised this race, they all know, and it's like, okay, this is getting serious.
Yeah, and as Gyro comes from close to the Vatican, he's sort of indirectly working for the Vatican. He realizes that there's some connection of this corpse to someone holy.
Some holy aspect. Some sort of like...
He's like, it's probably just some saint or whatever.
They call it the saint's corpse.
Like, and like places all over the world have artifacts of saints and shit like that. So there's probably just some important saint like Joseph of Arimathea or some shit like that. I heard he made a map of America. Whatever. Wait, disclaimer. This has been keeping me up at night. Us calling Johnny a crippled bitch is not us being fucking ableist or anything like that. Because if you've read Steel Ball Run, you're obviously laughing at us doing that because he's so fucking capable. And making fun of him for being paraplegic is not us being offensive. It's a fucking joke. And it's obviously a joke if you've read it.
You think this podcast is going to be the one that
I'm just saying.
100,000 views? Yeah, those are my 5 subscribers. I don't think any of them are going to moan about this clear, obvious joke.
It's bothered me that if like someone takes that the wrong way, because it's fucking. If you've read it, he's like so fucking good at what he does. It's like it doesn't even matter, you know. Anyway, with that out of the way,
I guess we're going to go back into fucking the Steel Ball Run. But yeah, no, you're not wrong. Johnny is. Because at the start it's very much like, oh, he's fucking paralysed, he can't ride a horse, that's why he's like down and out, his luck's gone because he can't be a world-class jockey anymore, and then he is literally just like, oh, I can ride a horse, don't worry about it, and yeah, you do forget that he is paralysed until it's necessary for the plot, like when he has to find Gyro after he's been taken by Hat Kid. And he has to use his fucking fingernails to crawl across the ground at speed.
So, where we left off was the event of the true man's world. Johnny comes back to life because he didn't die in the first place. Her hot pants shot her saucy cream at him or something.
That's true. She creamed in his face, and then he was all right. Which is, I mean, in fairness, when they introduced the Pope or something said, "Hey, Gyro, here's something to help from Italy with love kisses," and then it's like a horse made out of string that is also like a really good, suture for your wounds. And I think even Araki was like, "That's pretty fucking dumb. I'll just make a stand."
It's like I've done 3 parts with healers in it. For fuck's sake, this also heals.
Yeah.
When I need it to. Here you go.
Yeah.
Don't mention it.
Was the zombie horse before the actual introduction of stats?
I think so. Or it's like right around that time.
Because if that's the case, then it's like, I'm thick. Let's add a stand that can
It's around
heal
that time.
you.
But the plot has started now because Ringo Road again brought up Funny Valentine, the 23rd president of the United States of America. Mm-hmm. A big, fat, quadruple chin piece of shit in a pink suit.
Tiny, short weirdo who's... and this is when I think JoJo Steel Ball Run becomes like really like, oh my god, this is excellent, because it has genuinely interesting character actions and goals and motivations from characters who don't even have stands or not even in battles properly, but mainly just because they all have individual goals, and there's tension and well-written set pieces that bring in characters I wouldn't have even thought to have much of a place in the story. In other parts, you typically have characters like Lucy Steele or Steven Steele as like your speedwagons or your Avdals or something. Well, they are in the plot, but they don't really matter too much. Whereas in here, it's like, oh my god, Lucy Steele is great.
That's why we can't big up Mandem and Ringo Road again enough, because like that's the epitome of here's an enemy with a very interesting motivation and interesting backstory and a fucking amazing fight and stand. And it's just like its own thing, and then it ties into an overall conspiracy thing to the whole plot. It's fucking good. So they brought up...
It's like you're finally like, okay, there is a big bad. The Steel Ball Run, as you expect, has been created for a relatively nefarious reason.
We'll get into that right now, because the next arc, it goes... We might have got the order wrong on this, but who fucking cares? Because it doesn't really matter too much at this point.
The next arc is the Green Tomb.
Whatever that means. I don't even know what that's referring to, but anyway...
The Green Tomb it's like a place where they get a part of the body, I think. But
so the next checkpoint, wherever that is somewhere in the Midwest or maybe they're still in like Nevada-y kind of area. It's from Lucy Steele's perspective, who is the 14/15, something like that, year-old wife of Stephen Steele. And he's clearly very uncomfortable about this, because he gets interviewed right at the start of the part. And he's like, by the way, your wife, she's like 14, right? It's like, no further questions. Walks away. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, this fucking piece of shit. Who is this fucking weirdo?
That's exactly it. Because obviously he's in the Mandem arc. You have Ringo Rodogen's backstory is he basically gets sexually abused nearly and fights to the death to like overcome it. And so you're like, okay, it's not like your classic anime of like, oh, young girl, those crazy Japanese, and they're really risque young girls. It's actually like, okay, that maybe there's something more to this. Maybe it's like, it's not that Stephen Steele was a bit.
Turns out there is much more to it, but we don't get that until quite a bit later, actually.
No.
So Lucy Steele.
So currently Lucy Steele is genuinely cares about Stephen Steele, her husband. Stephen Steele being the organizer of the Steel Ball Run race, and has he been shot at this point?
No,
or is in trouble. He's in trouble.
Don't exactly. All I remember is Lucy Steele can lip read, and she lip reads them like the president through a window, talking about the next corpse part is going to be blah blah blah. We're going to find it here. And then she's like, what's going on here? I'm going to investigate this. So she sneaks in to the hotel the president's at, goes to the roof, and intercepts a carrier pigeon.
Correct.
And there's a whole thing. It's like, oh, I've been caught. I'm going to hide underneath it. And she does a clever little classic JoJo escape, where she does a clever thing. It's like, whatever. Doesn't matter.
And there's one of the henchmen who's like a weird guy with a mask. Blackmore is chasing after her, and it's sort of like, he seems to have an ability. What is it?
You
don't really know. And you also have like Johnny, Poker Loco, and Sandman and Hot Pants all meet up, and they talk about basically where they're going with the race. So that is sort of like in the background of that is happening. Yes. And that they know about the.
Oh wait, no, I remember. It's Mountain Tim. So, okay, yes, that's right. They send Mountain Tim, like Johnny and Gyro send Mountain Tim to help Lucy Steele or something like that, right? And then
yeah, because they believe that she's in danger and Stephen Steele's in danger because of
what Ringo said, something like that. Fucking whatever. Yes. So okay, now Blackmore is chasing Lucy Steele. Blackmore, his stand is Catch the Rainbow, and I really fucking love Catch the Rainbow. It's one of my favourite stand designs, and it's not really even like a humanoid stand. It's literally just like him in a mask. It's fucking cool looking. I don't know why. I just fucking love it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really well drawn. The colour scheme is really striking and looks great. Like even though he is just like a colourful Jason Voorhees.
It's literally lifted from.
But the actual ability
album cover. It's from like Black. Sorry, it's from an album. It's literally a mask from that. But the panel where he's like, I know it's got Mountain Tim in it, and it's like it's raining, and there's a silhouette behind him with an umbrella, and then it descends, and you just look up at him like standing on the raindrops. It's good.
Yeah, it lends itself to some really excellent drawings that are very bizarre in nature. They look very what's the word, like mystical or like
fashionable.
Quite, they look really cool. And Blackmore has a lot of that in that, even though he hasn't got too much to him as a character, I don't believe he's just more of a henchman. But it once again, Araki makes up for it in just style, and panache, and so it's sort of like, okay, Blackmore knows that he needs to find Lucy Steele. He's trying to fight. He's like, oh, Mountain Tim has called the phone. Lucy is called Mountain Steele.
Yes. That's Tim, right. And there's this whole thing like, it can't be a man that came in here because fucking, I don't even remember why. It's like
because the size of the shoes or the weight,
like the weight and stuff
something.
Like that.
Because all JoJo characters have an intellect of 800 IQ.
So like, it must be a woman, and they must be 14 years old exactly. Who do we know? What woman do we know that's 14 years old?
Who's come along?
Where's Stephen Steele? Where's your wife? He's like, she's asleep over there. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But okay, so Mountain Tim has like whisked her off to the desert to meet Johnny and Gyro.
And Blackmore has like done fucking return call and be like, who called? And like, Mountain Tim did, baby. He's like, ha!
Does she not have the spine at this point? Does she not bring the spine to them?
It's something to do with the spine. I know that Funny Valentine's after the spine.
No, but she gets the spine in this arc. It's just like because like she teleports.
No, Lucy, because I'm reading the fucking arc at the moment, so I can tell you exactly because I don't remember. Lucy departs with Mountain Tim to go to Kansas to find the spine at the Green Tomb.
Okay.
Blackmore follows to interrogate.
You are just reading the wiki.
The fight ensues. Yes, I am, literally. Just because I've forgotten everything about this part, but even though I like it a lot. I think it's the bit afterwards that I really like, but this is a professional JoJo podcast.
Comprehensive analysis.
But this is the part when Blackmore's ability is revealed, and Mountain Tim, who is just a cool cowboy guy who uses rope as his stand, he gets killed. And that makes it much more tense because obviously Lucy Steele has no stand ability. She's a 14-year-old girl. There is a lot of like danger. Like, oh no, she cannot defeat this person.
She shoots him with a gun.
And her... Yes, yeah. Who would have thought that guns? So she finds the spine, and they all seem to converge. Johnny, Diego, Gyro.
There's a weird thing with her like teleporting. I remember that because she's in like the Devil's Palm and it moves while she's in it or something like that.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's cool. It's cool when you read it. That's all I remember. It's cool that teleport.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I've
course.
teleported."
This is when you like you start getting like visions and shit of like Jesus. This is when like you're like, oh my god, it's Jesus.
It's Jesus.
The corpse is
Our
Jesus.
Lord and
Savior. Jesus Christ himself. And so it's like, oh, okay. Stands are given by Jesus. Fine.
Who, of course, everyone
whatever.
knows this now, but it's, Jesus is Joshua, son of Joseph. He is JoJo. He's a JoJo. Jesus is a JoJo in real life.
What? Was Jesus' real name not
Joshua
Jesus?
is like Jesus is like the Greek version or the Roman version of Joshua. And it's, yeah.
No way! Oh man, Iraqi, stop it, mate! You
stop it rewriting history to make your fucking characters happen to have the same abbreviated name as Jesus Christ. What are you like?
So was Joseph Stalin also one? Or
not quite.
Right. So yeah, a fight ensues where Johnny and Gyro have to fight, but they're also like being chased sort of by Diego at the same time.
Always.
And this is when it's more about the horse riding and like the, obviously Diego has like scary monsters as a stand, which he's inherited, and which can turn his horse into a dinosaur. He has heightened senses and stuff. So Gyro is, using his ungodlike intelligence to basically out.
Oh, he still has scan at this point
in the horse riding. Yes, he still does. Yes, and so it's like this is where it is a stand fight, and it's sort of hinted at earlier in the first time when they're riding the horses to the first checkpoint. There's a lot of this like knowledge and movement and using the spin ability to get an advantage, and they harken back to it, but with Diego having a stand now, so it's upped the tension in some way. And it's still as satisfying and interesting to make just a little bit of a horse race. And like rainy conditions, mud, the horses like gaits and movements and stuff. Araki did his research.
That's how basically the flow of the arc in general is like. You can forget that they're kind of in a race at some points because they just fucking chill out and have a stand battle. And then right before the checkpoint, it's like this in-depth race stuff with like, as you said, the horses gait and all that sort of technical shit. But now there's stands, and he makes the fleas dinosaurs because to make Gyro's horse slower or something.
But in the end, obviously, Diego's horse gets wounded. I think by Johnny.
We did literally skip Blackmore dying, right?
No, because they haven't even got to Blackmore yet. Oh wait, no. This is after.
No, okay.
We'll go back.
You think he's dead because fucking Lucy shoots him, and then he sees Jesus, and then the whole Diego thing happens. Then Lucy meets Gyro
because he has like he seals his like wounds with raindrops and shit, because his stand is revealed to be able to like control water to be stationary,
specifically rain. It seems so.
Yeah, it seems like only rain. He hasn't been around the ocean or anything, but it's quite a powerful ability. So he's like walking on the raindrops and everything, and he's using it to plug up his wounds. And like it's really, really cool because he can just pretty much make blades out of anything.
I just read.
And so when because when it starts to rain, it's like, oh no, his ability is extremely powerful and it's very, very specific.
Because you're like surrounded by razor rain type things, so you can't like move.
And like when the rain like falls down, it's like cutting people, and you're like, oh, okay, I see.
And then Gyro, because he has a scan, he knows exactly where to move his arms to spin the balls. That's all I remember. And then Blackmore fucking explodes or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is because once again I am reading the wiki right now because I've forgotten. But they did do the horse riding where Gyro and Diego are fighting before they get to Blackmore. So this is on the way to Blackmore. And this is where we get the sense that Gyro has taken on his like philosophical viewpoints of the man's world. As he gets annoyed at Johnny for helping him by shooting at Diego. He gets annoyed at this. Like, he can't defeat Diego himself in a fair battle that's pitting them together. And he hasn't, in his mind, he hasn't overcome a tough obstacle himself. He's relied on the help of Johnny.
Yes.
Whereas Johnny doesn't care. He's selfish. He just wants to defeat everything in his path.
By shooting fingernails.
And so, obviously, there's like... yes. And so, obviously, there's like a... That's where, like, it sort of ends for those two. As Diego has to, like, basically back off and heal his horse and come back into the race later. Yeah, and this is when they come across Blackmore and explode him by evaporating the raindrops.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he spins the ball and it evaporates the raindrops.
Yeah.
But like he has to move his arm specifically to avoid the razor raindrops.
That's right. And then they get the spine.
They get the spine. But okay, so
yeah.
now
Great. I really
yeah,
like this.
but they've also run into Lucy, and they tell her to spy on the president for them. And Johnny's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Gyro?" She's like 14. She's like, "Shut up, bitch! Spy on him,
fucking bitch!
spy on him for us, for fuck's sake! I'll give you my eyeball." And she's like, "Oh, okay, fine." Takes the eyeball.
Yeah, well, this is it, because they reveal a lot of stuff about what's happening. And they know that it's Lucy Steele, and so they're like, oh shit, this is bad. There's a lot of fucking conspiracies going on here. I don't think Steven Steele's safe. And she's like, what? No.
Oh, yeah.
No!
Yeah, he convinces her by saying your husband is in danger. And then gives...
Yeah. And she's obviously... And weirdly, you would expect, as a 14-year-old being forcibly married to a 40-fucking-3-year-old or whatever, that maybe she wouldn't be as open to helping, but she seems very dedicated and invested in helping Steven Steele.
Yep. So she helps, and she's now spying.
And it's interesting. Yeah. And so even when Gyro, who doesn't like women at this point, still, says, look, we need help. She does accept, and it's sort of like, okay, sure. And this is definitely one of my favourite parts, is when she goes to basically spy.
That's fucking way ahead. Let's not go to that point. But the other cool thing that happens is Gyro says, I can't let I've got Lady Luck riding with me on my horse. I can't let another woman ride with me or else she'll get jealous.
Yes.
Fucking cheesy little bitch, Gyro. Shut up.
Fucking... I know. And because doesn't he ride her back to the outpost? Like Gyro does ride her back.
He doesn't let a woman ride his horse until very near the end.
Oh yes, you're right. Yes.
Spoiler.
And so they take spoilers. They take Lucy back, and all seems to be fine, sort of, at the moment. And then I think it carries on to like.
Well, they've reached a checkpoint in Kansas City.
The next part of the race.
This fucking Japanese man, Norisuke Higashikata. Who's that? Doesn't matter. Ignore that. Who cares? Not relevant.
Don't worry about it. I was weirdly invested in the like where each character was ranking in the points, because it gives like a ranking, like Wacky Racers, in where people have finished, how much they've done, like by the. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I bet there's going to be like a build up to at the end where there's going to be loads of characters on the similar points.
I'm genuinely curious how much he planned this points thing out, because it doesn't really seem contrived at any point. There's a bit of like, oh, we've given you bonus 100 points for some reason. I think that happens like once, but it doesn't. Yeah, it seems quite natural. But though by the end, the race doesn't really matter too much.
I think that was only the first race, and yeah, you're right, it makes sense, like all the characters where they finish and like how they finish, and it is quite good. Even some of the lesser races you don't even think about, like I think at one point there's a racer called Georgie Porgy or something who wins a race, and you're like, who the fuck is who? and it does make sense in terms of the story that they would finish like this. And Poco Loco is always just around.
Always.
Yeah. And you know, as you carry on, you're like, okay, fine. I think this is when they start talking to like Sandman or well, I don't know.
They now know that the checkpoints coincide with locations of the corpse parts. So they now know where. I'm definitely not reading off a wiki as I say this. They know where the ears, the right arm, and the legs are. Gyro gets rid of Scan,
and they also know that the president has a corpse part.
And it makes him a big fat man.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? We can talk about Funny Valentine later.
So now, pizza mozzarella happens. I think. Is it?
Yes, this is. It doesn't matter. I mean,
it might be one of his shitty jokes. Not pizza mozzarella.
Yeah. This story does a very good job of establishing the friendship between Johnny and Gyro. As obviously they start off as like, get away from me, you little crippled bitch. No, please help me. No, please.
Let me touch your balls.
And they're just sort of following each other. Then he does a good job of, after each sort of checkpoint, having small little moments where you just have the characters interacting with something silly. Just sort of emphasising that they are friends. They have a growing relationship where Gyro will tell Johnny a joke, and even if it's a crap joke, Johnny responds like a good mate would do to his mate. Sort of
a crap joke that makes
songs.
0 sense in English. But it's like I think we mentioned it before, but the best part is that there's no like, you're my friend now, and we're never going to be any more or less friendly than we are at this point, which has happened with
we're going to beat them with the power of friendship.
Like every other part has done that. It's like Okuyasu and fucking Josuke. You fucking, my brother's dead. Oh no! Hey Josuke, let's go to school. And fucking welcome to the gang, Giorno. Oh, you fucking, who is this new kid? He's pretty good though. Whatever. But here. Drink my piss. Oh, he turned it into a jellyfish. What? Okay. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm hiding money in my boobs.
It's a very natural friendship. And the debate rages on over whether Johnny actually likes his shitty jokes and shitty songs. Because, like, his reaction is very fucking real. It's like...
yeah, it's very, very deadpan as well. And obviously Johnny is invested in being friends with Gyro because... Gyro has the cure to his fucking paraplegia. So
this is very funny. The way he reacts is very funny.
Yeah, I kind of think that it's more like that's just Johnny's style, and he does actually enjoy that because even
I don't think
towards the end.
No.
Do you not? Maybe he's just like, yeah, sure, whatever.
He's like, he looks in pain. He's like, oh fuck, Gyro, that's a really good song. That's a really good song.
No, he says that to the joke. He's like, good joke. I like that. But the pizza mozzarella song is definitely like really
he oversells it. It's like he looks like he's in pain. He definitely looks like he's in pain on that one. He's like, oh Gyro, I can't get it out of my head, man. It's so good.
Yeah. I like it. I love it though. I love it. It's so good. Because it not only does it give Gyro, who's essentially is quite a serious character at this point. He's got serious backstory, serious arcs and stuff. He has that brevity that reminds you that he is a bit of a goofball. He's a bit of a wild, a loose cannon, and that's sort of why he's split off from his family, in many ways. Because he has emotions. He's not cold-hearted.
Yes.
And he does it, and especially when it come to the fucking bug bite fetish or something you see later, and then you're like, okay, Johnny's a fucking weirdo as well, and they are mates.
That's right before. During Love Train, so we got a while until bug bites. But
it's true. Fucking yeah, we can talk about that later. Very, very weird, Araki.
Oh, but
whatever.
Okay, this is very important. The barn explodes because of stand battle, and Johnny tells us about his real backstory before getting shot in the spine for being a cue-cutting bitch. So,
yes. Yeah. A little fucking cripple. He becomes a little crippled bitch.
So before he became a little crippled bitch, he had a brother called Nicholas, who was a prodigy jockey, just like Johnny ended up being. And his dad was like,
Yeah.
"Oi, Johnny, you're not a cripple, but you are a bitch. Why can't you be more like your brother, you fucking bitch?"
Yeah, your brother's God himself. I love your brother, not you. Your brother, oh man, he's the real man of the family.
Don't listen to him, man. That's mean. You're like, oh, what a nice bro you've got there, Johnny.
Yeah, what a caring brother.
So anyway, he dies. because
he lets his mouse.
Yeah, so Johnny keeps a mouse called Danny, obviously, because JoJo. As his dad makes him get rid of the mouse, so he lets the mouse go. And so, he tells him to kill the mouse. He doesn't kill the mouse. He lets it go.
Yes.
So then the next day, on a race with Nicholas, and also Diego's there, coincidentally, Nicholas's horse goes fucking mental. And they're like, oh god, Nicholas has fallen off his horse, his head's gone up his asshole. Oh, he's fucking dead. And Diego's like...
He's broken every part of his spine.
And Diego's like, I think I saw a mouse running in front of the horse. It must have scared the horse. And then Johnny's like, oh, fuck, man. God, what have I done?
It's so, there's a lot, it's really, like, tenuous that a lot of this stuff happens. And, like, in any reality that anybody would be like, I thought there was a mouse on the track that looked very suspiciously close to one that JoJo had, and he's the reason why your brother is dead. And his dad's like, you killed my son. All this like
it flashes back,
but it makes sense for the character, like his mood after that, and that he's not as nurturing or as caring afterwards because he chose to let something live. And that ended up biting him in the arse. So he became more cold.
Yes.
And
we'll get more into this when we get into like the overall Steel Ball Run analysis thing later on. But so after that flashback, he's very young at that point. So he's like trying to be a jockey to live up to his brother essentially. And he's like, I need some boots. Hey Dad, can I borrow Nicholas's boots? He's like, fuck off, you bitch. It's like, no, give me the boots.
You're a son of mine.
I can't remember exactly what happened, but it's like there's a minor scuffle. His dad falls over and like breaks glass or something, cuts himself, and then he's like, then Johnny's like,
and Johnny just nicks the boots.
No, his dad says the most important line in the part, which is God took the wrong son. That is why Johnny is a fucking miserable bastard, because that is some real shit right there.
That is it's quite you obviously his dad is not dealing with the loss of his son very good, and latches onto it to Johnny in what you would expect in for an unstable person in a sad
sort
time.
Of like an
and obviously overreacting to Johnny needing some boots, and he's just so like hates the fact that Johnny is trying to take something of Nicholas that he doesn't believe he's lived up to, like his perfect son. He's the cause of it, and he's sort of almost like mocking him by becoming a jockey as well.
And this pays off fucking beautifully in the end, but we will get to that.
It
when
does.
We get to that.
I was really expecting Johnny's dad to be just some one-note backstory villain who is just like essentially the driving motivation behind his backstory, but then Johnny goes off and is like just a hotshot prick, like smoking cigars in the cinema with his feet up. He's that kind of dickhead. And he cuts in line the most cruelest of crimes to do, and he rightfully gets paralysed because of it.
Deservedly so. If you cut in line, you deserve to be paralysed for life.
He's shot in the spine.
But that
which.
So the important takeaways there are God took the wrong son, and Diego seems to always be around when shit hits the fan in Johnny's life. So those two things are what's important there. So flashback to the present. Dinosaur. Wait, it's not dinosaurs, is it?
Sound
dinosaurs. Is that now? Okay.
Yeah. That's they. So essentially,
prior to this, so Diego must have met with Valentine before this then.
Well, he met with Soundman and Valentine.
So Diego's like, hey, I have a corpse part. If you give me Manhattan, I will work for you, Valentine. He's like, okay, fuck it. He's got dinosaurs. Do what he wants. So then he teams up with Soundman, who can now control bees or something.
Sandman. He's very specifically Sandman, and it's a similar ability to Koichi's from Part 4 in that he gives onomatopoeias life or like their ability. Like in the Japanese like word for whoosh would cause like wind to actually blow, sort of thing, or like sizzle would cause.
You say it's
heat,
like echoes. It's echoes.
It is echoes. Yeah.
But on dinosaurs.
But dinosaurs. So instead of it just being a rehash of a fight with echoes, it is combined with the fact that the sound onomatopoeias can become dinosaurs, which I mean, you got to give your hat off to Araki right there. That is
You're 7.
Who would have thought?
You're 7 parts deep. Like that doesn't even phase you at this point. It's like, oh, they're dinosaurs, but their heads are Japanese onomatopoeia, and they're running towards them and exploding. Yeah, what? That's fine. What's going to happen next?
I have no idea how they're going to make that into like the localized part.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even make.
It doesn't. No idea.
Like they're in America, it doesn't even make sense that he knows fucking katakana and all that shit anyway. But whatever, it's fine. It's a manga. So. It turns out Sandman isn't called Sandman. It's the fucking dirty white man mispronouncing his name, which is Soundman. Get it right? Yeah. It's like, what?
That made me laugh so much at this point. Where...
Like, I don't even...
Because it is... I think it's actually relatively clever in that it is just ignorant, in the same way that they call like Native Americans Red Indians because they thought they landed in India. Like, it's like, oh, they're just fucking dirty sand people, basically. And they called him Sandman because they sort of misheard him and assumed he was of that ilk.
You're giving Araki a lot of credit. Here's what I actually think happens. So when Sandman entered the race, he gave... So I think I misremembered it last time. I think he's the one who gives the jewels. And when they're looking at the jewels, like examining them, like sand goes into their eyes and they're like, whoa, this is super valuable. So I think what actually happened was his ability was controlling sand, and then he was like, "Sand sounds like sound." He controls sound actually.
That I forgot that the sand goes in it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he's fucking with rocks at the very, very start of the part, isn't he? He does something with rocks.
No. Sandman is. He's actually the most was the most interesting part for me. I was like, he has a running technique and a unique, because his legs are so long, that means that he can run consistently at high speeds without tiring. And Araki goes into a very interesting explanation of why with his anatomy and his running style. Like the palms of his feet are very supple because they rarely touch the ground.
Yeah, I think Gyro's the one who's like examining him while he's running.
Yeah.
He explains this,
and he's essentially running at 20 miles an hour and keeping up with horses and stuff, and it's really interesting. It's like, wow, that is incredible that you've got cars, camels, and a guy running like that. Really incredible. And he comes across like the Rock, which has what seems to be like practice, like Gyro was practicing the spin technique in them.
I don't know.
Or sharpening his steel balls in the Rock or something.
Oh yeah, that is. I forgot. Yeah, there's holes in them, right? And that that explains.
And they're perfect spheres.
That's right. Okay. So anyway, now
because Sandman was running away from his own creed, his own tribe, who were after him for reading Western novels, and he just outruns them all because he's super fucking good at running.
Okay, so back to the present. Sandman with his army with his dinosaurs that eat force field dogs, they fight Gyro. Gyro keeps getting... He's like drowning and exploding at the same time. Or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, Johnny, it's time for your first lesson. The first lesson is ask for help 5 times and then lesson 2 starts. He's like, what? What? Can you just tell me what's going on, Gyro? Tell me how to use this.
Yeah, I know.
This part makes no fucking sense to me.
No. None of the lessons really make sense, and except for like one of them, which sort of makes sense. But they all seem to be contrived to add tension to the part. Because he doesn't need to spend time explaining why Sandman is fighting, as it's very clear at the start that he's doing it to not only bring sort of honor to his tribe, but also get loads of money to help not have the white man destroy his village and stuff for his sister and stuff. I believe.
Like
and so it's like, okay, it makes sense why Diego and Sandman would team up. They're not like Sandman isn't friends with these guys. They're just sort of.
We didn't even explain Diego's backstory, did we?
No, I don't think we got that.
We'll do it after this. But so they're fighting. They're getting fucked up because it's fucking dinosaurs that explode or something. Yeah. Gyro's getting the shit kicked out of him, and Johnny's just begging him, like, tell me how the fuck I can deal with this. And he's like, no, ask me 2 more times. It's like, okay, help. He's like, 1 more. Okay, help. He's like, golden rectangle. And Johnny's like, oh!
He's like, what?
Golden rectangle! It all makes sense now. Bang! Sandman dies.
Yeah. Which, yeah, because it...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's... The golden rectangle is meant to be like Fibonacci's like spiral or whatever, and it's the perfect... Like, basically the secret to rotation.
Yes, because
in that it's everlasting.
It infinitely rotates in on itself and never stops because it's like half... The square is whatever the golden ratio to the rectangle it's in.
Yes.
Etc.
Yeah. And it seems to be like the golden rectangle is present in everything in human society and nature and everything.
And Gyro has a belt buckle that's roughly the golden rectangle, but it cannot be reproduced exactly by humans. It has to be referenced in nature.
Whatever.
Gyro, whenever he throws...
You like the golden ratio,
so
I get it.
Whenever Gyro is fondling his balls, he looks directly into Johnny's eyes, and Johnny's perfect brow and cheekbone forms a golden rectangle. He gets the power in his balls, and he spins them really fucking hard, and they come onto their enemy and explode.
Alright, I have to promise everyone once again that we genuinely think Steel Ball Run is one of the greatest pieces of modern fiction.
Fact...
But we have to... But there's a lot of this. There's a lot of this nonsense.
It's called Steel Ball Run. It's about balls. And a guy who spins balls, and a guy who really wants to touch the ball.
Steven Steele made a fucking race and named it after Gyro's
exactly.
balls.
Like, it doesn't make...
For no reason.
Yeah, this is what we're saying. The fact that it can be this fucking good and this stupid, like, nothing is like that. You know? That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
There's Berserk, which is, like, really fucking good, but it's super serious, super depressing, super dour. Yeah. And then you've got this, which is exuberantly fun, and also, it makes you ponder life.
Yeah, it's really weird, cause it's like, I don't know, I like to think of this as like, nothing is perfect unless it has flaws. Flaws make it perfect.
Yes, sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this stuff is so... It doesn't detract from it. It just makes me like it more, even though it shouldn't.
Adds a lot of character, if nothing else. And there's definitely other stuff, aside from just...
And then Tusk upgrades, like Echoes did into Tusk Act 2.
Because he starts seeing the golden rectangle, like, branches and shit, and he's like, oh, Tusk, level up. Then, Sandman dies.
And it gives him the homing bullet, because the whole thing was he has only 10 fingernails, and so he can only fire 10 bullets.
Unless he drinks herbal tea.
Unless he drinks herbal tea, and then they grow back quicker. And so he's obviously down to his last bullet, and he's like, oh, and it levels up, and he misses the bullet, but the bullet chases after and hits him.
Yeah.
And then he wins. Hooray.
But now his fingernails, like, they form a little, they spin around more, and they
spin around his finger because he moves his finger in, like, or whatever. He moves his finger in the fucking golden.
So Sandman fucking dies. Gyro and Johnny are dead. The shit beat out of him. Then Hot Pants comes along and says, yoink, taking all your corpse parts, bitch. Lol. But I'll leave, like, 1 nugget of spine for you, because that will make you keep your stand, even though
because at this point Araki wasn't really sure what gave stands to what. Was it corpse parts, or was it the devil's palm?
Turns out it was the devil's palm.
What? Turns out it's devil's palm. Whatever. You don't need to split the spine into fucking parts or whatever. And this is the part where I was sort of a bit like, oh, okay, like Sandman was introduced with a backstory and like a relatable motivation. It's like, okay, he needs to help his sister. He's a good guy. He needs to help his sister. and he just becomes a bad guy in this part and dies, and that's him out of the story.
And they die in this part. Unlike
it's a bit tragic. They fucking die. They're gone. They don't recover from their mortal wounds.
Yeah, Johnny and Gyro are literally killing their competitors in the race to get the corpse parts, and you don't really think about it until you do, and we'll get to that. So,
yeah, and so it's kind of it's a bit So Hot Pants heals them because Hot Pants has to turn up to heal them at all times, and that is her role in this part until she has sort of a backstory and dies.
Spoiler alert. So next part, which is low-key one of my favourite parts, in a part with lots of favourite parts, and that is Sugar Mountain. Yes. And Sugar Mountain doesn't really have anything to do with the plot at all, except, well, they get a corpse part from it. So, okay, so they're nearing another checkpoint, the 6th, 7th, whatever.
I believe it's the 6th checkpoint. But this is another one of those parts similar to Mandem, where it's self-contained as an idea and a story, and then everything outside of it is like the overall plot. But it does these self-contained, interesting. Basically, this is just like the fable, the classic like riddle or fable,
fairy story, and
this is the JoJo twist on it,
and it's fucking great. So there is a tree in the forest. And there's a girl that comes out of the tree and says, do you need water? Or something like that. And Gyro's like, no, I'm good. It's like, do you need... I forgot how it works.
It's the... Okay, so you've played Link to the Past, right? Where you throw in the thing into the river, and then a fairy comes out and says, hey, did you throw in the golden... the classic... I think it's the axeman. He drops his axe into the lake and they say, did you drop a golden axe? Did you drop a silver axe? And he's like, no, just a regular axe. And then because he was honest, she rewards him with the golden and silver axe.
So then Gyro's like, no, she's like, did you drop this money? It's like, no, I didn't drop that money. Okay, here's $1 billion. It's like, fuck. It's like, did you drop this corpse's ear? He's like, no. Here's the corpse part.
Here you go.
And there's like, we've got everything we want. We've got $1 billion. We got the corpse part. Fuck
this.
Nothing could possibly go wrong. Why does that tree look like a body? It turns out.
Oh my god, yeah. Because this is actually a relatively dark.
So it turns out everything that Sugar Mountain gives you, you have to use up in 24 hours, in some arbitrary time frame. Or else you will get absorbed by the tree and become the guardian of the Sugar Mountain tree. So now they have $1 billion, an axe, or whatever it was, and a corpse part.
No, it was $1 billion.
That they have to use up in 24 hours.
$1 billion. Yeah, the corpse part, and there's something else.
It was something else.
It's not like a deed or something, is it? It's like something.
It's something stupid. It's not important if we haven't remembered it.
Yeah, but essentially, they have a lot of, and they can't just like. Say, here you go, Gyro. Here's $1 billion. Like they have to.
Yes, it has to be a fair exchange, right, or something.
Yeah.
Oh, Oh, fuck! That ties into JoJo. Shit.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's connected.
Did you not realize?
Was it always? Well, anyway, we'll get into that. Well, we won't. But but anyway, so they can't just like go around giving the money away because they try that. They try and like give people absurdly good offers and like, I'll buy your house for $1 million. Like, oh fuck, it's only.
I'll take some horse.
It's worth like $100, but okay. And then they immediately start turning into trees. Like, oh fuck, no, I'll just $100. That'll do. So, how can they?
The only thing, before we get onto this, so Johnny then in his hood gets a rabbit ear, like permanently from this.
It was a feather.
Yeah, okay, but it. I can't remember why that happened.
It's just his design. His design does slightly change. Like every JoJo's character's design, just their outfit upgrades. But now, I do remember. Like, I swear he didn't have the feather at first, but now he has like several.
No, they specifically make a point of it. It's like, oh yeah, you got the feather, and that's also part of the corpse.
Oh, really?
Whatever.
I don't remember
Why
that.
not?
Whatever.
It's something like that. I don't know.
So, how can they get rid of $1 billion in 24 hours fairly? gambling,
Casino, baby.
So they buy like half of Chicago or something like that, and they're like, oh fuck, we still have $100 million left. Let's just gamble it away. And then they get attacked by one of the coolest fucking stats ever.
Yeah.
And it's so violent
because they're just called the 11 Men. They don't speak. They don't have
and
any backstory.
Their hair is newspapers.
Oh my god, yes.
He had to draw fucking newspapers for every single panel. Fucking Araki is nuts.
Fuck.
Did we mention that sometime before this it started going from weekly publication to monthly, and this is where it's very fucking obvious where that happened.
That like he has had time to do these like crazy.
Like I can't remember exactly where it happens, but it's immediately apparent when that switch over to Ultra Jump happened because the chapters suddenly get fucking like 3 times longer, and his art gets from God tier to fucking Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan.
Put into the fucking
Ultra fucking tier. Instinct. Literally Araki in the love. Literally Araki in the love. So so you the only thing you get with a stand battle is you just see that there is 11 men on horseback. They all look the same and they're all following and pursuing. That's it. You get nothing else about this character. But because, once again, when Araki can't be asked to think of any character motivations or anything, he just makes them so fucking cool and interesting and stylish that you don't even care. So, unlike many other JoJo fights where it's like, oh, that's a clever solution to this, this is literally just them just fucking shoot each other. And it's incredibly violent because there's 11 men. Obviously, they're disposable. So they get fucking murdered, like over and over again. And what even is their ability? They like use each other as portals or something.
So they all are one stand. Tattoo you. I'll look it up in the background. But so this is like because usually in JoJo fights it is very cerebral, one opponent, which is great, obviously. But then this is like the cathartic, like we're using our ability and how fucking overpowered we would actually be against regular sucker fucking dudes. They all just have guns, and the stand Tattoo You, which they have, basically it's sort of like shared between them and enhances their teamwork and like lets them sort of know each other's thoughts and feelings.
Sure.
So when one of them gets like shot and hurt, it's like, oh, okay, go over there. And think of it almost like the Borg.
Yeah, sort of.
Or like an overarching AI,
but Western.
Yes. So as a stand, doesn't do much at all. But
it's 11 people versus 2.
Oh no! Shit! It allows them to phase into each other as well, using the tattoos on their backs.
I thought
and reappearing. Like that. So like when one of them dies, then it's like a corpse on the ground, and then they just phase through the tattoo and crawl out the corpse.
That's what I remembered. So it's literally just a shootout. It's like it's not super JoJo-y, but there is a JoJo-y solution to it, and so like there's a big shootout. You've forgotten about why they're in the casino in the first place. They're trying to get rid of money.
Yeah.
There's lots of other people in the casino because it's a fucking casino. So.
Yeah. They've actually won more money than they.
Oh yeah, that's right. They just keep winning more money, and they're like, oh fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But so they're like, okay, we still have loads of money left, and we're in this fucking shootout with 11 people that are coming out of each other's backs.
And we're getting towards the end of the
Let's just pay everyone in the casino to fucking protect us.
To fucking help.
2 solutions, bang, bang, solved.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking good. It's just
really good. And because of their desperation, it is a fair exchange because the gangsters who are in the casino are like, you fuck off until they just like fucking help us, please. So they defeat the 11 men, as they're just called the 11 men, and Gyro starts transforming into branches of a tree, and Johnny realizes that he hasn't actually given away the ear. And he's like, fuck, I need this ear. Fuck. And so he gives the corpse part to the last guy of the 11 men, basically, for some wine or something to leave them alone.
And you have a nice little scene of it in the middle of a blizzard. They've fucking lost everything. They've lost their corpse parts. They're just like, well, we've got some wine. Fuck. Guess we'll just continue the race and hope things get better. And then you go back to...
I thought that was weirdly a reference to The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. Like, stuck in a snowstorm, just two people injured with some wine. I don't know. Probably not
but maybe. Well, it's just a good visual, isn't it? But that solved the curse. They solved the curse of Sugar Mountain. The girl's parents who were stuck in the tree are now out, and it's like, oh, Johnny is a good person because he gave away everything. They're worthy of the corpse parts now, and that's the part. It's very it's self-contained. Like, it gave, obviously the 11 men were sent by Valentine, if that wasn't clear, so they've just given Valentine another corpse part. So
yeah, which I mean, I like that because it's like they have solved the part, but the actual solution isn't what they want, but they have to do it to put it into play. And even that you can't even hate Sugar Mountain or like the thing, because she is a cursed child who is forced to live within her parents' corpse.
Yeah, more or less.
And constantly more and more people fail, obviously, and aren't worthy and lose the basically become part of the tree or become roots and stuff. And so it's nice to have her have a bit like Raimi from Part 4.
Yeah, sort of.
Like her like she's allowed to move on.
Yeah.
I love this arc. This arc is great. It's because it's cathartic, it's clever, it advances the plot, and it's fucking stylish as fuck.
It's cool. There's not really much to say about it. But it's just good.
Apart from can't wait to see it animated.
Yeah, how the fuck are they going to animate those guys?
I really feel sorry for David Productions.
Their work out.
Maybe they can do an episode
and like
a month.
fucking horses as well. You can't animate horses, and there's a lot of horses in this part. It's gonna be
3D animation.
Probably. Hopefully, as long as it's not Berserk.
I don't think it'll be too bad because the 3D animation nowadays is actually
as long as it's not Berserk horses, it's fine.
No.
Fuck. Less said about that, the better.
B stars or fucking Apari Random.
We'll save that for the 6-hour Berserk podcast. So now...
Exactly. Can't wait. You haven't even fucking caught up with that.
I've read the good part. So...
Yeah, but
here we go.
Okay, whatever.
Tubular bells! Do you like balloons? No? Too bad!
This is another one of those stands where I'm like, this is dumb, but it looks really cool, and like the artwork is really good. It's a really fucking stupid stand.
It's more important for Lucy Steele. This is where Lucy Steele becomes a character.
Really, she has agency. This is like the really, because obviously her plan now is to steal the heart from Funny Valentine by killing him, or however she doesn't know yet. She hasn't got like an idea in her head, but she needs to get close to him.
Yeah, she's basically being tricked by Gyro into this. She's like, oh, my husband's in danger. Yeah, I'll take the corpse parts from Valentine. She's like, what the fuck? Wait, how do I do that? I have to spy on the president. I have to sneak into him and steal body parts from him. Okay, fuck. Yeah. Well,
and she does. The first thing she does is like she just learns more about generally Funny Valentine, the president, and like she realizes that Scarlet, who is the first lady, seems to have a predilection or whatever the fucking word is. She likes girls.
She might be a lesbian.
So she basically flirts with her.
She reads a book about lesbians and she's like, oh my, how shocking. So then she immediately goes to Scarlet and says, hey, do you want me to sit on your face? She's like, yeah!
Yeah, boy! Araki loves women.
Not as much as men, but really he does love them.
And so... they sort of get flirty for a bit, and she's obviously a bit suspicious, and because there's something about Scarlet being turned into her. No, Lucy gets turned into Scarlet by Hot Pants as Cream Starter, because Cream Starter is a skin ability.
Okay, here's
or
what
something.
happens. Hot Pants helps out Lucy Steele by giving her like some roofies essentially to knock out Scarlet. So then she can then put on a disguise as Scarlet with Cream Starter by spraying flesh on Lucy Steele's face.
Fine. To change
so
her
that she can get closer to Valentine.
So she can get close.
Fucking steal his heart, literally. So that goes according to plan. Everything's perfect. Funny Valentine is asleep. He's like, oh, Scarlet, what are you doing here? You're acting especially cute today. Oh, I'm just going to go to sleep. And then a balloon dog knocks at the door.
A balloon animal made out of a nail.
Knocks at the door. And,
Fuck's sake.
Lucy Steele disguised as...
And the only reason it is because obviously Valentine is suspicious that Blackmore hasn't come back.
Oh, that's... No, because Diego is working for them now, and he has dinosaur powers, so he knows that the traitor is a 51-kilogram woman.
Yes. And so Valentine's other stand user who he keeps around, Mike O, just goes, oh, I have a fucking tracking thing.
I can make balloon animals, and they can smell things and explode. Okay, that's good enough. Fuck, I can do that. Do that then. Find this traitor. So while Lucy Steele is stealing the heart from Valentine, the dog comes in, starts fucking exploding everything. He's like, oh, fuck. Explode. So it's after Lucy Steele, but it can't differentiate Lucy Steele in disguise and actual Scarlet. So it fucking murders the First Lady of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Scarlet Valentine.
And it's like, oh shit. And then this really, like you know the classic the best plans in movies are the ones which they start off like written well, like oh everything's going according to plan, then get fucked. This plan is like Lucy Steele's like, oh my god, I'm fucking way out of my depth here. For some reason, the First Lady has been actually murdered, and now she has to impersonate just genuinely being the president's wife, and maybe forever. To try and get away with this. But
she did manage to steal some corpse bars, right? Hot Pants gets away with them. So, mission accomplished. You're now Funny Valentine's bitch.
Yeah, pretty much. And Hot Pants kills Maiko.
That's it. There's a fight.
Thanks Hot Pants for just being a plot device.
There's a fight. I don't even... oh, by the way, Hot Pants is a woman? What? This pink man with boobs is a woman. I could not see that coming. They didn't specify whether she was a man or a woman, but I immediately pinned her as a woman on the first panel she appeared.
Yeah, of course.
And then was like when they revealed that she was a woman, I was like, what? We didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Because she was covering up her body in some way.
Obvious.
Like that's definitely a woman.
But whatever. Doesn't mean. Oh, and she's a nun, by the way.
Fuck off, Araki. Sometimes, just sometimes. Yeah, okay. Like she's a nun, and if I'm honest, I think Hot Pants is the weakest part of Steel Ball Run.
She's cool though.
She's all right. I mean, her power is very whatever it needs to be for the story. Like, oh, we need this to happen. How do we fucking do this? Okay, Hot Pants, and she hates them, but also helps them because she needs to. And then her backstory, that's the only part where I'm like, oh, okay, she's right. But
we'll get to that later.
So yeah, then you get like the Funny Valentine's also 800,000 IQ as well, and so it's extremely suspicious. After seeing, there are two Scarlets and one is dead, so he's obviously like, there's a fucking traitor, or someone who's a spy. Is this really my wife? And then you come to it's one of the most...
No, that's not yet. You're jumping ahead again.
Is that not
You're
yet?
jumping ahead
Fuck
again. We've
me.
got Weka Pipo.
Oh my god, we've got Weka Pipo. Of course we've got Weka Pipo now.
Right, so,
Jesus Christ, we've got Weka Pipo
So,
now.
we've established Gyro is cool and he doesn't have a stand. What happens if... Well, and also he can beat stand users despite not having a stand because he's so fucking cool. Yeah. What happens if there's someone else with a ball
who doesn't
have a stand who also has a ball and it's fucking cool? It's Weka Pipo.
Yeah. Weka Pipo?
Weka Pipo.
What a name as well. When it's like the same thing as Mamazuka Rai is when I realised it was Mermaid's Cry. When I realised Weka Pipo was Wake Up People, I was like, oh, I don't know why I like that so much.
Weka Pipo is outrageously stylish, and he's like probably the most like fucking. I can see this person, someone wearing this outfit in real life on a catwalk. As he's fucking,
oh yeah,
he's super duper
this
cool.
is like okay,
and he's also followed.
The hairstyle is like
grids,
yeah,
right?
this is JoJo. It's a grid, yeah. It's JoJo to absolute max.
Yeah. And he's being followed around by this slimy, fucking snazzily dressed, fucking gentleman called Magenta, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, sure.
And I fucking love Magenta for some reason, just because he looks like a Bloodborne character. He looks like Marvelous Chester.
Me too. Yeah, he looks like a hunter, doesn't he? But I also like it because he's in it more than once, and I really like when JoJo villains aren't killed, even though Magenta is essentially a reference to Cars from
that's
part 2.
jumping way ahead, but that's actual fans. Like obviously there's been references to the old parts before, but that is like the only time where it's like okay, fan service. There you go. But we'll get to that. That's the new catchphrase.
Right, so the fighting against a non-stand user.
In the frozen wastes of Michigan, I think.
Yes, near Lake Michigan. And
on Lake Michigan,
Weka Pipo has balls as well.
Wrecking Ball.
Yes.
Which I thought was a Miley Cyrus reference, but it came out before that.
Yeah, I think you carry on. I will find out.
Okay, so they're crossing the fucking Arctic tundra that is Michigan, and they get attacked by a ball. And when the ball goes near them, they suddenly can't see anything to their left. And indeed, we as the viewers literally see half of their body like disappear into a void. And it looks very cool. And this is his ability. This is his ball's ability. He's mastered the spin in a distinct form of ball handling from Gyro's that allows him to inflict, an affliction known as left side ataxia.
Yes.
? Left side ataxia. So nothing on your left is visible. So it's pretty much just a really fucking good JoJo duel where they're trying to outsmart each other. So Weka Pipo knows about the golden rectangle. So he's like, I'm in a frozen tundra. There's no trees or anything. There's no frame of reference possible for him to like get the perfect spin, get the golden spin. Therefore, I'm going to win. And because I can make him not see anything to his left, I'm going to like position myself around him so that I'm in his blind spot. I'm in both of their blind spots.
Yeah.
And it's just a JoJo fight along those lines. Magenta is also there. His stand, 20th Century Boy, is he can basically become impervious to all attacks.
Yes. So they work well together as by the time the left side ataxia is worn off, he can obviously tank the damage and allow Weka Pipo to reposition himself and to get other hits off.
Yes.
Because not only that, but his balls explode and little balls come out and and this is just another excuse for Araki to draw things torn in half. Like he just wanted to draw this, and it doesn't matter because it's really cool. It's a really interesting fight. By the way, Wrecking Ball is a song by Neil Young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think this is when Gyro needs to teach Johnny another lesson.
I don't remember what the lesson is, but
no. Yeah, it's more to do with like the golden ratio. They can't find it, and that they find it when it starts snowing. They find it in a snowflake.
What happens is that he throws the ball and misses Weka Pipo. It's like, I've got him. He's fucking starting to lose his shit. But he hits like a mound of snow. The snow flies everywhere, and then it comes back around, fucking hits Weka Pipo or something like that. He's like, oh, what? He saw the golden rectangle. How? I planned everything perfectly. And then he fucking looks up. The fucking snowflakes.
Yeah.
With the golden rectangle, bitch.
Whatever, bitch.
And Weka Pipo's like, okay, fucking hell, that's pretty sick, mate. I'm gonna work for you now.
Yeah, well, because it makes more sense because you go into Wekapipo's backstory and he also is in the same royal guard that Gyro is for the Vatican.
So he's not an executioner though.
Yeah, he's not an executioner, but they work in the same area. They have the same like spin techniques that have been handed down through families and secret martial art techniques or whatever. So they sort of understand each other, they know of each other personally, and each other's like reasons and goals for being there. I don't know why Wekapipo is there. Do you know? Like why he actually is there and fighting against him?
Because
I know he was exiled by Gyro's dad. That's about it.
I think maybe he was trying to get the corpse parts himself so that he can redeem himself.
I'm just
something like that.
Yes, he is definitely trying to he's trying to redeem himself. I'm reading the Wikipedia as which is
so he's not actually working for Funny. He plans to double cross Funny Valentine.
Yeah.
I believe.
Basically, his sister's marriage was beaten blind.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's actually good.
Yeah, he has a tragic backstory in that his sister was married to a dickhead who and he beat her until she was blind, and so he challenges Wekapipo, and Wekapipo kills this fucking bitch. But because he's like stepped out of line, he's like gone too far emotionally or whatever with the hierarchy, he's exiled, and he needs the corpse parts to redeem himself as obviously we found out earlier, the fucking parts of Jesus, so that's why the Vatican wants him back. And that's why Gyro's been allowed to fucking go on the Steel Ball run. Because the Vatican want Jesus.
They want Jesus because Mormonism is literally the true religion of the world, if we didn't make that clear. Thanks, Iraqi, for clarifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they beat them to Magenta gets smashed in the face.
Yeah, he gets fucked up, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets fucked up and dead. He's just like sort of left for dead in the wastelands. Because his invulnerability lasts for only so long. Like needs to recharge or something. There's wolves in the snow. It's, there's lots of cool stuff in it. But Wekapipo sort of like goes, okay, you guys are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, you guys are cool. I'll help you out.
Basically, he becomes a bro. He
becomes a Joe bro.
Yeah,
and now, well, actually, we're
because
not quite
Gyro
on the
was the
final
doctor
act.
for like the sister and saved her life and stuff, and so they sort of have those sort of revelations, and that helps Wekapipo come along and go, oh, okay, you guys are cool. I'll help you guys. Fucking, we're fighting for the same cause.
Yeah, because it's revealed that Gyro, in addition to being an executioner, was also a surgeon using his balls. And
he used to like spin his balls on women to make them more attractive and have bigger boobs.
Oh no! What he did, he was like sleeping with a woman. Then his dad knocks on the door, and then like he uses the ball to make her ugly. It's like, what? I'm not sleeping with her. I'm fucking performing surgery.
I'm treating this fucking
sorry.
ugly bitch. this fucking stupid fucking bitch.
Oh, Gyro.
Oh, Gyro. I love this fucking... And then, he also... Doesn't he, spin up his ball and someone, her ass is, super awesome for, the next 2 weeks and, wrings all the water out of someone?
Oh, yeah, that's right. And her boobs, get bigger for the next 2 weeks. It's you have to come back if you want them to stay like that. Oh, fucking hell.
It's like, Christ almighty.
Spin can do anything.
Spin literally can do anything. It makes less sense than a ham-on.
Yeah. Which is saying a lot.
That is fucking saying a lot.
We're halfway through Steel Ball Run, and we're approaching, I shit you not, the fucking finale. Not quite. We're not quite there.
We're not quite there, but we have 2 more arcs before we get to the big one.
The big one, if you want to call it one.
Yeah, and even then, this arc, which is the Civil War arc, is definitely, it's the backstory arc. It's the confronting of one's own fears arc, shall we say?
Yes, the development arc.
Yeah, of course. Basically, there's stuff about Stephen Steele and Lucy Steele, and they found a body in the river which Hot Pants made look like Lucy Steele. So Steven Steele's like, fuck, my wife is dead, but maybe not. And so he isn't so like, he for some reason doesn't believe it, but whatever. So they carry on.
He has a connection to her.
They carry on to the seventh stage, and find they basically go into like an abandoned garbage dump, pursuing hot pants or whatever. Just some.
Yeah, it's just like a random building filled with crap.
Garbage, yeah. And they meet a nun, and Gyro's like, "Oh, hey, nun, where is hot pants?" And Johnny's like, "Woman, you woman." Yeah.
It's a stand attack.
Of course it is a stand attack.
Where's Gyro? I fucking taken him.
Yeah. So they all seem to see things from their past, and they get covered in a fucking membrane and start suffocating. Which is
so he starts seeing like the little mouse that killed his fucking brother that he's responsible for. You killed your brother, Johnny. God took the wrong son, Johnny. He's like, no. Where's my friend? I need his balls.
Yeah, and Gyro is something to do with a teddy bear, which is I think the teddy bear is like the toy of the kid he's trying to save or something.
Maybe it's not really hinted, but throughout the whole thing, like they're like, oh, we have to get rid of some of our supplies because we're carrying too much. Yeah, and he's like, he chooses to keep the teddy bear, so you're like, it adds to his quirkiness.
Yeah, he loses his toothpaste or his toothbrush or something, but keeps his teddy bear and stuff. And it's like, okay, these small parts of like what you would consider to be like quirky character development actually do tie into their backstories, which is nice.
Yeah. And that's not acknowledged in dialogue, the teddy bear thing, but it's like it's visually there, so it's like something the reader knows about. But it's just a nice thing.
That's why I really love Show Don't Tell, like where they don't have to use any dialogue to tell the story, and Araki does do that very well.
Yes, he does. He also tells a lot, but
of course he does, like Dragon's Dream.
Oh fucking yeah! We've gone
past
we've solved that problem.
So basically, they're being attacked by someone called Axl Rowe, who was in a stand called Civil War, that basically his stand materializes someone's guilt and things they've left behind to suffocate them, as in like they're suffocating or being drowned by their own guilt sort of thing. And then Jesus talks to Johnny.
Jesus shows up. And it's the first real shot of Jesus, Lord and Savior Christ,
with the fucking
God
crown
Almighty,
of thorns. He's like, "Hey, it's me, Jesus."
Yeah. Okay, so Axl Rowe, he's like, there's this thing called the American Civil War. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it happened in the United States just before the 30 years before the events of Steel Ball Run, which is a historical documentary.
Yeah, of course.
Axl Rowe, I believe he was on the Union side and he fell asleep while
he fell asleep at a guard post.
And then his whole like fucking battalion got killed or something like that.
And he felt incredibly
So his stand
guilty.
is literally fucking guilt. His stand is guilt.
Yeah, and he wanders into the desert basically and into the Devil's Palm and gains a stand. Similar to other characters, but that's basically what happens. He is the manifestation of guilt, and it's a very good stand on that in that part.
I mean, it's very much not a. So obviously, like you can frame all stands like it's going to set up a shonen battle. This one is like it's purely for character development.
Yeah, it's very like, metaphorical almost.
He's like, okay, I need them to sort of confront their past and develop something else, and the plot needs to develop as a result of this. And then he like back engineered the stand around.
Yeah, the stand. So, the stand is literally beaten by confronting your past.
Yeah, and Johnny gets a vision of Jesus, and he says, "Don't shoot if you doubt, but if you don't doubt, then a new path will open to him." So Johnny's like, "I get it now." Shoots himself in the head, unlocks Tusk Act 3.
Suicide is that basically allows him to teleport.
Yes, he starts using the spin on his nails, which he started to do with Act 2, but now he's better at it, and he can get sucked in to the hole that he creates. So he goes sort of in between the fabric of reality and beats Axl Rose somehow using this. It's not important. The important fact is that he's like, okay, I don't care about the mouse anymore.
Because Gyro basically tells him where he is, and he's like, I'm going to use my Stan's ability to fucking get to him and kill him. And it's all towards like, you know, George Joestar, as in his dad, turns up and he's like, I'm not afraid of you! I'm not afraid of you! And, you know, confronts his past and gets over it. Lots of people suffocating in this part. Makes me uncomfortable.
I think we also, this is where we find out about Hot Pants' backstory as well, because this is the backstory dump.
Yes.
And I believe it's quite a simple one. Oh wait, no, it's kind of fucked up, isn't it?
I don't remember. I really don't remember much about it. I know she's a nun.
I saw one word. I looked up her Wikipedia page, saw one word. It's grizzly bear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So as a child,
once again,
Hot Pants was playing with her sister, and then a grizzly bear attacked them, and then they started to hide, and the grizzly bear found them, and then she's like, "No, don't kill me!" Pushed her fucking sister to the grizzly bear and runs away.
Yeah.
So she became a nun
to absolve herself, like to. In penance, like she was so guilty of the fact that she fucking sacrificed her sister to live that she became a nun to try and work away the rest of her days. And so
and
as the church wants to get the fucking corpse parts.
Yeah. It's all about fucking redemption, because it's Jesus. Redemption. Get it?
Jesus. Yes.
Jesus Christ, our Lord and Saviour, born in America, as we all know.
Yes.
So that's not really important, but we now know why Hot Pants is there. It's nice to have a bit of
some depth to
motivation.
Even though I do believe she is just a plot device for every arc.
It's fine. She's cool. And Civil War has been defeated.
Hooray! They defeat Civil War. They confront something about themselves. I don't think Gyro does. I think Gyro is just sort of dying.
Yeah, Gyro doesn't really have any guilt. He's just doing what he does. He doesn't have any regrets. He's just a good guy.
Just being suffocated sucks. Yeah. He doesn't suck, but it sucks for him.
It sucks for him.
And
the kid.
And then we get to the most confusing part of JoJo ever created by a man.
The final act of the part starts at, let me just check, chapter 60 of 90 something. So literally, normally the finale, you like, it's a 3-part structure. It's like a third each.
Yeah,
like,
60 of 95.
The finale is going to be like, 10 to 20% of the plot. It's literally fucking the last third, and they're long as fuck chapters as well.
Oh yeah.
It's unbelievable. This entire last fucking act starts now. So another 2 hours ahead of us. Get buckled in.
Seriously, right. Jesus Christ.
Philadelphia. The most confused, as you said, the most confusing part in all of JoJo.
If you think Dragon's Dream or fucking King Crimson is confusing, you don't know nothing. I've seen a 50-minute video on this one arc explaining the different possibilities. Fuck. This is a crazy arc.
It's really cool because, like, okay, we said it before with the last one. It's like when the villain is introduced and you can't comprehend his power, it's really good.
Yes.
Because, like, they feel threatening. They feel genuinely threatening because you can't understand what they're doing.
Funny Valentine feels extremely threatening with this power.
But it's too much.
Yes.
Like, they clarify what his power actually is, and it makes sense later on. But the way it's introduced is too confusing.
So you have, like, I think, is it 3 different chapters of the same arc? Or is it 2 chapters where they just... it's 2 chapters.
Well, it's 3 I don't know how many chapters, but it's 3 versions of the same event. They're in Philadelphia.
You have timestamps at the bottom of, like, 3:51 p.m. Gyro and Johnny enter, blah, 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 and they go into the city, chasing after Diego. They see him, and they follow him. Blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, well, he must know where the fucking part of the corpse is. We need to get him. And then, suddenly... you have parts of like Stephen Steele and Lucy Steele stuff which we will get to.
And Wekapipo.
And Wekapipo at some point. Well, but I mean, it's mainly about Wekapipo, Diego, the boys, quote, and Funny Valentine.
Yeah. So Johnny and Gyro split up to find Diego. Johnny gets fucking shot in the head and dies.
Yes.
And then by a mysterious silhouetted figure.
Yes.
And there are several witnesses to this in the nearby park.
Like
There's
kids
a
in a
painter, some boys playing good old-fashioned baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And another little girl.
Uh-huh.
And Gyro comes in, sees Johnny dead on the fucking floor. He's like, what happened here? And then the boys, the little girl, and the painter all come along. The painter says, wait, no. The little girl says, it was Wekapipo. The little boys say, it was Diego. They obviously don't call them by name, but they describe
it was
a
really handsome man who was
and then
blonde.
the painter fucking draws a picture of the fucking president and says, it was this man that shot your friend.
This president.
And Gyro's,
what?
And Gyro's like, what? You're all fucking lying to me. What actually happened? It's like, I'm telling you the truth, mate. I'm fucking telling you. And then, it was Diego / Wekapipo / Funny Valentine, the president of the United States.
I know.
So, flashback again.
No. Before you even do that,
okay.
they go back and talk. They literally follow Lucy Steele and Funny Valentine.
Oh fuck!
They do
Is that
this.
before?
Yeah, seriously, they do this.
It has to be. Yeah.
So Wekapipo is like talking to Stephen Steele, and they discover that fucking Lucy is actually Scarlet.
Oh, you're right. Magenta attacks Stephen Steele's carriage.
Yes. So
And
he's not dead. He's just got a big scar on his eye, and he's got a gun.
Yeah. He's got a gun.
The most
And he
powerful
shoots Stephen
JoJo
Steele.
stand.
And then Wekapipo comes along, fucks up Magenta, fucking knocks... He has an impervious stand, so all he does is fucking knock him into the river, he sinks to the bottom, and then, of course, he gets tired of... he fucking stops thinking! It's a reference to part 2!
Yeah.
Hey,
So they basically save Stephen Steele, even though he gets injured. And then you have the Lucy Steele flashback, where you realise that she was actually Lucy Pendleton.
Yes, of course. We should definitely... Yeah.
Her father was indebted to the mafia, blah, blah, blah. Chose to sell her off as basically a sex slave, essentially, to the mafia. And Stephen Steele couldn't handle it.
Because Stephen Steele was depressed one night, and little Lucy Steele, even younger than she is in the story,
12.
just as a kid does, just cheers him up a little bit.
Yeah.
And fucking basically stops him from committing suicide.
Yes.
So in order to express his gratitude, he buys her out of the mafia's deal, and just basically just lets her live a normal life.
And in order to do this, he has to say that he took her virginity and is married to her. Otherwise, they wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, but he didn't. He's not a nonce.
He didn't. He's a good guy.
He's just a rich, nice guy all along, and you thought he was a nonce, you presumptuous twat.
Pieces of shit. You fucking think that my little boy Stephen Steele with his fucking flower haircut is fucking a nonce. How fucking dare you?
So when you explain it, it sounds kind of stupid, but it's really well told, and it's actually quite touching.
It is very touching, and then I genuinely really like it, and I have a lot of empathy, and at this point I became really invested in Lucy Steele, in that she is in such a dangerous situation, in such a horrid situation, and she's a nice person, and they have a nice life, and they deserve good things together. I'm like, okay.
So we've established Lucy Steele is indebted. Why she's indebted to Stephen Steele, and the Stephen Steele is a nice guy, and Lucy Steele is a character now.
Yes.
So Funny Valentine realizes that Scarlet Valentine is actually Lucy Steele and tries to rape her. Tries to rape her.
Yeah. It's fucking... Yeah, this is a really hard bit to watch. It's... the classic, if you wanna make your villain a bad person, you make him kick a dog or fucking rape someone. Araki took both of those fucking traits and made them real.
And I think, obviously, the parallel between him and Stephen Steele is that you assume Stephen Steele is a nonce. And, I guess maybe you assume, if you're American, maybe you assume that the President of the United States
because he already
is
had a
good
wife
guy.
And stuff, and so it's sort of like...
Yeah. So there's obviously a contrast set up between them. So now it's just a very stark, fucking the division is set up. Like, Funny Valentine is a piece of shit. But Stephen Steele is a good lad.
In fairness, I think he tries to rape her, but like more as a I don't know who you are, but you look like my wife, and sort of like, okay.
He's like you're not actually my wife, but you're still very cute. Lol.
He doesn't know it's Lucy Steele at this point, so he doesn't know she's an underage girl. In fairness, I'm not advocating for rapists, but he's not raping her out of like okay, well, he's not a nonce. He's just a rapist.
Okay.
Just make that clear.
I didn't know she said she was 18. She said she was my wife. How was I supposed to know?
I may rape her, but only if she's above age.
Okay, so he starts trying to rape her, and she fucking murders him.
Yeah, the disguise comes off and reveals that it's Lucy. He's completely stunned, and this like moment of hesitation allows her to stab him in the throat with a knife.
And he dies.
He dies. Dead. He literally dies, but his body disappears when a chair falls on him.
Mysteriously, but Lucy's trying to run away, so she doesn't really notice that. So she hides in a cupboard and fucking hears Funny Valentine coming after her again. He's like, Lucy, where are you? It's like, oh, what? I thought I literally stabbed you in the neck and saw you die. Yeah. What the fuck is going on? Then Jesus appears in the fireplace and says, yo, you're the Virgin Mary now. It's like, what?
Here you go, be pregnant.
The corpse part's head appears in her stomach. She's pregnant with a corpse's head, and it turns into Jesus Christ itself. Funny Valentine comes in the room, gets blinded by the holy light of our Lord and Saviour. It's like, oh fuck, it's the Virgin Mary, it's the fully assembled corpse part. I know we take the piss a lot, and we abbreviate and give the bullet points. And in doing so, you may think this sounds like the worst, stupidest, most trashy series. But trust me, it's told better than we are telling it. And it is Believe it or not.
Trust me. Even though is silly...
It's probably told in less time than we're taking.
It probably is, yeah. But just, yeah. It's... I love JoJo. Just so I need to stress this. I really love JoJo.
If that's not clear, we like JoJo. And we like Steel Ball Run. And this is a very good thing that just happened.
Yes. So, yeah.
She's pregnant with a corpse's head. And the corpse is Jesus.
Yes.
Okay. So now Funny Valentine does not rape her because that would be sacrilegious.
Yes. And so this basically... one, you don't know what Funny Valentine's power is because he died, but he's also fine. Disappears and reappears, and so you're like, this is fucking weird. We went on a tangent there, but it was an important tangent. Now let's get back to the confusing fucking shit. And this also means that Lucy doesn't just get fucking straight up murdered. So so she's now important to Funny Valentine. Mm-hmm. We don't know why yet, but she's basically fulfilled the plan somehow, and we'll see what that plan is over the next 30 chapters. So, Philadelphia, Flashback, Weka Pipo, or is it Diego first? Doesn't matter. It's either of the two. So they're both. I think Weka Pipo's was the first one because he was the one who, because that's where you get the Lucy Steele arc and that he saves Stephen Steele.
Yeah. So we've seen that there are 3 versions of the event. Mm-hmm. President Valentine killed him, Diego killed him, or Weka Pipo killed him.
Yes.
And then Weka Pipo and Diego both seem to think that they killed Johnny.
Yes, they both seem to believe that. So you both have like a view from their viewpoint. Like Diego takes out one of Valentine's guards and impersonates him. You have like Gyro and that chasing after him, and Gyro eats some shit.
Oh yeah, he eats shit.
Eats shit, and you can tell which horse's shit it is. And so they're obviously chasing after her, like, oh fuck. But Johnny, in 3 different times, gets shot in the fucking head by like a silhouetted figure. And even in one chapter, it's just literally Funny Valentine walking up the street and shooting him in the head.
From behind an American flag.
And I think each time, he's not shot in the head, he's shot in the face.
Somewhere. And he disappears down a drain pipe.
Yes. So you're like, oh fuck, who shot Johnny? What happened? Really confusing.
really confusing.
And
in fact, I don't even know if we can explain it.
No,
to be honest,
no, I
just
can't
know
explain
that. Just know that Funny Valentine's stand has the ability to travel between parallel dimensions, and he basically just fucked around and fucked with people to make them both think that they did kill Johnny, but in a different universe, and then they brought them into the same universe just to confuse you.
You see like a couple of panels where like Diego is, being fucking dinosaur man, and then an American flag seems to be fluttering in the air, and you don't really think of it as much, but what actually is happening is that he is being transported to a different dimension and is shooting at a silhouette behind the flag, and that actually is Johnny. And this seems to happen multiple times where Johnny gets hit by the balls, or Johnny gets hit by a gun or a bullet and is getting killed. And I think in some of the parallel universes, Johnny does die. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, presumably.
Because like getting hit because he doesn't get hit by the Weka Pipo's like wrecking ball. He gets hit. The one that we follow is when he's got shot in the head by Diego, I believe.
Yes,
and
Universe A. At
this point, to save himself, he shoots himself in the head also to go down the drain.
Because Jesus told me to.
Jesus told me to. So he barely escapes with his life, and barely is alive, basically. And all while a stand user attacks Gyro out of nowhere and is dispensed really quickly.
Yeah, you literally don't even have to bring up Chocolate Disco. The only noteworthy thing about Chocolate Disco is he says, "My stand's name is Chocolate Disco, that's all I'm telling you." And Gyro instantly susses him out and beats him.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, it's battleships, I get it."
Yeah, it's like, that's the only like pure filler in the whole part.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it doesn't matter.
It's so weird. And even then, it's like, Chocolate Disco, the only other noteworthy thing is it's the only stand that's named after a Japanese bit of music.
What about Boku no Rhythm o Kudakite?
That's actually a Spanish bit of song. But that's the
Japanese.
Japanese.
Oh, it's just the translation of it.
Yeah, it's the Japanese translation of the song, which is like the rhythm of the heart. And I've listened to the song. It's Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's Chocolate Disco. Anyway, yeah, Funny Valentine's behind it all.
Yeah.
And there's like cool scenes of him like coming between
between
horses.
Dojan. And it's
Dojan.
Is his stand and his design is like reminiscent of like a stage performer, and so he seems to have similar mannerisms as well. We have like tada, like Dojan.
Yeah, Dojan is Japanese for tada, by the way.
Yes.
So the other side, so parallel dimensions. We all know the trope. If you meet yourself in the past, you'll fucking explode and cause a paradox. Yeah. So same thing here. If anyone besides Funny Valentine himself meets their equivalent in another dimension, they will fucking explode into cubes.
In like a horrific, like parts of you will be torn out and meet each other to cause collision, like annihilation.
Annihilated, I think, is the term they actually use. Yeah. And like, it's a really cool effect. Like,
it looks really cool.
He's good at unique violence with geometric shapes, is Araki.
It looks like something you would think, oh, that is probably what the fourth quantum dimension would look like.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hypercube.
Yeah, basically,
sort of deal, but I don't know, whatever. So the crux of it is that fucking Funny Valentine can travel between dimensions.
Yes, and this sort of makes sense because previously you see on the train. This was when there was like one of the stand users is like dispatched. You see 3 different like guys who look like Funny Valentine. And you're like, oh, that's really weird. And then you have all this weird stuff with like moving between Valentine dies and then disappears and comes back, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And it does all sort of make sense with his stand. It gets revealed, sort of. The three different Funny Valentines appearing in the same universe doesn't really make sense when you get the idea of it, but whatever.
Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. It makes sense, it's really cool.
Dirty Deeds
Done Dirt Cheap.
Or filthy acts at a reasonable price.
Yes, it's a cool stand, it's a cool design, it's a cool ability, and he uses it to his fucking absolute max.
Damn right.
It's just a messy introduction because Araki had an idea for like a fucking
Who killed Johnny?
Like, yeah, different perspectives. He had the idea of like the 3 different clashing perspectives and like how it can tie into the stand before like the stand itself was fully like, you know,
realized and exploded. But he needed,
exactly.
but to actually make it work, you need like a fucking massive flowchart of different possibilities. And you have also killed off multiple timelines.
Yeah, and a month, even though he's got a lot more time on his hands, a month still isn't enough to tell that story too concisely. No. Maybe David Production will improve that part. That would be great.
That would be interesting.
However,
that is genuinely like the only thing I'm interested in on their take of it.
Yeah. And everything else is like, it would be hard to fuck up, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
I could actually see them doing like a 3 different things at the same time, or so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? But yeah. So it's interesting part. You get Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap is a really fucking powerful stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of, from then it's like, okay, the main guy, D4C, Funny Valentine is the villain. We're fucking going straight on it. Diego is trying to kill him. Hot Pants is trying to kill him. Gyro, Johnny, Wekapipo, all trying to kill him.
Well, Wekapipo gets turned into cubes, as we established.
Yeah, so Wekapipo is the fodder to explain that if you get taken to another dimension and meet yourself, you both explode and die.
Yes.
So rest in peace, Wekapipo. Yeah.
And that does add some tension because, as we've established, like he is essentially like Gyro 2.0.
Yes.
So it's like Gyro can die
could die
to this guy.
Fine.
So Diego dresses up as a guard to pursue Funny Valentine. Funny Valentine immediately susses him out. In fact, I think this was before the shooting thing, so maybe I shouldn't even bring that up. I don't fucking know what's going on anymore.
Yeah. I think it all merges, it all happens. Corpse parts fucking move. Like, fucking Diego loses the fucking left eye and nearly dies to the fucking... when he meets his other Diego. But doesn't, I don't think.
I don't think Diego's... Oh, yeah. I can't remember.
Diego definitely gets nearly more... He gets, like, cut in half. Like, one of them...
No, that's fucking way later, mate.
No. Genuinely, like... Oh, maybe that is, but... Diego gets fucking really badly hurt, but he sort of manages to escape with Funny Valentine, so he doesn't die.
I don't know. All I know is they end up on a boat.
Fine.
And the plot continues.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So Johnny's alright somehow. Gyro finds him, they're reunited. So they're like, we have to fucking chase this fucking boat.
Sure. And this is where it's like, okay, I guess we're in the Prime universe here. Because
yes.
We're the only universe with the Holy Corpse parts, which is why Valentine doesn't go to other universes and just do it there.
Yes, this is the only dimension that has the corpse parts, which makes it the main universe.
Yes.
We'll call it Universe A, and the next one will be Universe 1.
Mm-hmm. So it definitely, this stand opens up the no, because it sort of like goes, oh, you sort of have this thought in the back of your mind that maybe it was Made in Heaven that caused the alternate universes. It's not explicitly said or anything, but you have that in your head that maybe that's what caused it. But
yes,
cast
that thought aside.
Cast that fucking thought aside. D4C is definitely explains why it could happen, and anything can happen in JoJo from now on. Maybe. Yeah. So yeah, you get lots of like cool stuff of like Lucy Steele is slowly turning into a fucking robot.
Yeah, and her stand is Ticket to Ride.
Yes.
She's turning into a stand.
Yes, she's turning into a stand. Valentine basically has all the corpse parts.
Literally has all the corpse parts.
Yes. And doing so... Yeah, so because they go on the train, Diego and Hot Pants try to fight him, don't they? before Gyro.
They're on the boat. They are on the boat first, and then they immediately get off and go on the train.
Yeah, and there's something to do with Joseph of Arimathea's map, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It explains that yes, it is Jesus. Mormonism was right. His corpse ended up in America somehow, and Joseph of Arimathea wrote a map predicting the layout of the continent that no one had been to yet. Well, you know, the white people that mattered, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. European, yeah?
I don't associate with this man. So Hot Pants and Diego go, hey, we need to fucking team up. We're the odd couple. We don't like each other, but we need to team up.
Can I just point out the fucking wiki? Like, there's a bit paragraph, then the ticket to ride story arc happens on one line.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a good way to explain it. It's just fucking nuts from here. It literally goes nuts from here.
Yeah, so Lucy agrees to hang around Valentine and do his plan with him as long as Stephen Steele doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
And Valentine's like, alright, fuck it. Fine, whatever. I don't need him anymore anyway. I've got all the cool spots. Bitch.
He served his
my
purpose.
master plan. So, Diego and Hot Pants, the odd couple, they're together at last. Fanfics rejoice. They've been shipped. It's official.
Finally, Irina Pendleton's version in this universe and Dio are together. Iraqi, you know, nice.
What, you think Hot Pants is Irina Pendleton?
Because no, Lucy Steele's fucking Pendleton. Whatever. Okay, sorry, I was making things up in my head. Whatever. Hot Pants. What's Hot Pants' real name? I'm gonna look this up while you explain what happens because they're chasing the train.
Her name is Hot Pants. I actually don't know.
So, yeah, it might be. I don't know. I thought her name was revealed to be something else. Carry on with what's happening in the actual story.
I was hoping that you would carry on with the story because they're on a train.
Okay,
right?
I'll carry on. They basically catch up to Funny Valentine, who comes onto the train, and they're going towards the final stop or something. Even though they've got
to New York to the bunker.
Yes, I don't know why. Pretty much his plans here. It's done. At this point.
Well, he's putting it in a prime location, but we'll explain what it actually does as we go along.
Sure.
The Hot Pants and Diego fight Funny Valentine on the train, and he phases between universes. They keep shooting him. Oh no, he's gonna squeeze himself between two objects. Oh, he's back. Whoops.
Mm-hmm.
Hot Pants dies.
Yeah, so they try to fight him, and they realise that, oh fuck, he no matter how many times we seem to fatally wound him, but he seems to come back each time fine, and D4C is fucking him up.
And it of course is because he's squishing himself between two objects to go to another parallel dimension and bring another Funny Valentine into their dimension. So
that's it.
Which is fucking sick, by the way. It's fucking awesome. Brilliant ability.
Yeah,
it's super cool.
So you can actually fake, because Funny Valentine dies multiple times. The actual character dies and is defeated multiple times, but so long as he can sandwich himself between two things, he can then transfer his stand and therefore his consciousness to another Funny Valentine in an alternate universe where he's also the president. Another Funny Valentine from an alternate universe comes and will take his place. But will carry on his memories because the stand, as we know from previous parts, is sort of their soul or consciousness.
Yeah. He's transferring D4C to them.
Yes.
So they can't come and take him from his universe. Because this is the main universe.
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
Yes.
Hot Pants dies. Diego gets run over by a train.
Cut in fucking half.
He gets cut in half. It's very anticlimactic. We'll get to that later. Mm-hmm. So, Johnny and Gyro are chasing after the train, and they seem to notice some weird shit going on. That tree seems to be... I swear he passed that tree before, and it's just we don't seem to be getting any further away from it. That's weird, isn't it? Mm-hmm. By the way, I have a fetish for bug bites.
I forgot this.
Sorry, what did you just say? It's when girls have a bite from a bug on them, it makes me fucking horny. Oh.
Gyro's okay, whatever.
Okay.
And it's...
My real name's actually Julius Kaiser.
Yeah.
It's what? That's crazy. Shut the fuck up. You like bug bites, you fucking pervert.
Yeah, so
now let's go kill the president.
They basically reveal sort of secrets to each other, or so that they... Because they are properly bros at this point. You're like, okay, these guys are mates.
bros.
They trust each other fully, and that's basically what that is meant to symbolize. And it's
Hope nothing bad happens to them.
I hope nothing bad happens. It's like the reversal of when Johnny is sort of like, oh, great joke, yeah, nice, yeah. In that, like, fucking Caesar is like, right, okay, well, whatever you want, mate.
Yeah, his name is Julius Caesar,
Yes.
which is like the original Latin pronunciation of Julius Caesar.
Yes. So he is
Caesar
effectively a
Zappelli?
Zappelli, yes.
What? What? That's weird. Where are all these references coming from all of a sudden? We'll get to that. So, they catch up to the train. Lucy Steele starts emitting a fucking blinding heavenly Jesus Christ beam of light.
Yes. And
Yes.
and it's like, what the fuck is happening? Like they're
And
riding
all
horses
the-
next to a train, and light is coming out. D4C is
And
floating
all of
in the light.
all of the land and the oceans are coalescing to this around this fucking train as they're moving along. It's like, what the fuck is going
And
on?
anytime Johnny shoots at fucking D4C and it goes in the light, you see almost like a vision of someone in Vietnam getting shot in the fucking head.
Yes, you do. So, the ability of the corpse part is revealed to be any badness, any misfortune. Yes, that vaguer term. Any misfortune
Is redirected.
that enters the light is redirected elsewhere.
And this ability is absolutely fucking fantastic from a character perspective for Funny Valentine.
And themes,
It's
yes.
so fucking good for patriotism.
The President of the United States' superpower is to deflect problems to other countries.
America has no problems and will throw it all to fucking the other dirty, damn, poor fucking underclass countries.
So, President Valentine's plan is to make this beautiful, heavenly, God-given light across the great land of America and make everything alright for them and shit for everyone else.
The ultimate patriotism to the absolute nth degree.
Just like real life!
I know, he's making America great again. Ha! Can't wait for that to be trending when Steel Ball Run gets animated.
Yeah, fucking hell, tell me about it.
He's literally building a wall of light around the country.
Like, you cannot make this shit up. And, like, Iraqi never really gets political ever.
No.
And to be fair, this is, when you read it, it's not like overtly political. It's more in like
more about,
like political philosophy sense rather than like
about
a criticism of America.
True patriotism.
It's like it's a fucking criticism of America, and don't fucking tell me otherwise. Well, it's a criticism of nationalism.
Yes, it is. You could take it out of any country. It doesn't necessarily need to be America, even though America makes sense for it.
Fucking helps this America.
Yeah, of course it is. But it is more of a. It's not like, oh, those fucking damn Republicans or whatever. It's just the idea of extreme love and nationalism for the country.
Yes.
Is essentially boiled down to racism.
We are jumping ahead slightly, but that is the ability. They figure out that, okay, we can't attack him as long as he's in this light, so maybe we can try and get him out of the light. That doesn't work because he just doesn't leave.
Gyro's
like, why should he?
So obviously Gyro's spin ability is like seems to be able to defeat, like, hit Valentine and make him age.
Yeah, it
and
like
stuff.
skims him.
Because it's like infinite energy or something. It's close to infinite energy, so it can sort of breach the light.
Yes, because it has no end point, the spiral. So therefore, if you hit that fucking spin on the ball just right, if you nut just right, it feels really good and it breaks through anything.
Yes, even infinite misdirection redirection.
Yes, yeah, whatever. It's fine. So, Gyro, how the fuck does he do it, by the way? Do you know?
They're riding on the train next to
spin?
They're riding on the horses next to a train. Lots of fighting is happening.
Yes. That's right. The fact that they're riding on horses.
I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot, just crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
Gyro
the land is like
Gyro gets
pulling
ball
into
breaker.
No, okay, no. Okay. This is what happens, right? So he notices that the spin can sort of like do something to the light. It like doesn't break through, and it does something. So he's like, "Oh, I haven't tried throwing this ball while I'm on a horse. Maybe I should try that." He does it, and yes, it fucking spins just right. So it's so powerful that the energy is so strong that he gets a stand.
No,
from the spin.
You idiot!
No?
You fucking idiot! You don't. Gyro does not get a stand. I'm telling you now.
Yes, he does.
Gyro does not get a stand. Gyro's steel balls develop a stand.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same difference.
No, it's not. The steel balls themselves, the energy inside them harnesses to make a stand called Ball Breaker when they have a fight on the ocean floor.
You just fucking rearrange the words slightly.
No, it's a key difference because Gyro does not have a stand. Gyro's steel balls manifest a stand, the stand's energy, as in Gyro can sort of manifest an energy because spin energy is sort of a stand, sort of. It's clearly stated in the fucking side panels between chapters. Idiot.
Okay, so Gyro's balls have a stand. Yes. Gyro's balls have a stand. Gyro does not have a stand.
Yes, Ball Breaker.
Balls can have stands. People cannot. Understood. Energy. So what this does do is it unifies the golden rectangle and all that shit and stands. So it's like, okay, there's really fucking stupid pseudoscience to all this. Fine, that's fine. So the ball breaks through, hits D4C a little bit, and it ages Funny Valentine one side of his head. And he's like, oh fuck, that's fucked up. So he shoots Gyro and he dies.
He shoots Gyro in the process. That's close to his heart and nearly kills him. But I think for some reason Gyro's wound begins to travel towards his heart, and Valentine is like, you nearly killed me. It's nearly infinite golden energy, but like there was some sort of, I think like the steel ball had like an imperfection or something.
Yes, something like that.
And so it wasn't perfect. It's nearly perfect. You pretty much figured it out, but nearly. And so then Gyro is dying. Is like, hey Johnny, here's lesson number 5, baby. The shortest route was a detour, and if it was a detour, that was our shortest path. And he's like,
what are you saying, Gyro?
It's like, what the fuck are you on
What does
about?
that mean? He's like, figure it out, bitch.
You figure out, you little fucking
cripple bitch. I'm gonna fucking drift off in the ocean.
Yeah, so Gyro dies, really sad. In that he
Very sad.
essentially figures it out and hands it over to Johnny as a and it is really sad because it's like, okay, everything he's fought for is basically, you know, he hasn't achieved his goal. His dad was sort of right in that the foreshadowing of letting a woman ride on his horse, you know, Lady Luck didn't like him.
Oh yes, he if it wasn't clear, he was carrying Lucy Steele on his horse at one point, and he happened to die right after.
Yes, and his dad was also saying that having emotion and being emotionally attached to people will cause you to make irrational decisions and affect your aim and luck, which it does in the end. As his steel ball isn't perfect and is, you know, it's not, so it does all come, you know, crashing down on Gyro, which is sad. But Gyro's will is inherited by Johnny.
Hang on a minute. Did you just say Julius Caesar Zappelli, while sort of rushing towards fighting the final boss of the part, failed and then transferred their energy to the main JoJo?
Yes.
Interesting. So, Johnny realizes through Gyro's fucking cryptic final words how to achieve the infinite spin on his fingernail gun bullets, and he fucking does it. He spins his nails in the perfect Fibonacci sequence, shoots it at President Mr. Funny Valentine. It breaks through.
Yeah.
Breaks it apart. Oh, no. Fucking punches
Tusk
him.
Act 4 does an aura on Funny Valentine. Does he jump off his horse at this point? Does he get knocked off his horse?
No. Okay, he's been knocked off of his horse. He grabs Gyro's balls one last time, has a go at the spin, spins it at his horse's leg, which causes its muscles to contract. It kicks
Johnny
him into the air.
Who spins at the perfect ratio, whilst he also does the golden spin and shoots it
on his
to create.
nails.
Because there's two like golden ratios acting against each other or something, they create infinite energy.
Yes, infinite energy,
which is essentially like wormholes and vortexes and whatever. And then this hits Funny Valentine.
And he starts turning into a spaghetti man.
Yes.
He
spaghetti
fucking keeps like getting his body like unravels and keeps getting fucking dragged down into the fucking earth itself.
No matter
and
what
happens.
Oh
fuck!
And so he
keeps
using his stand to bring someone else in, but because he and his stand is affected by the infinite energy,
it's infinite.
It's infinite, so he will keep dying. And so he knows that he needs the only way to stop this. He's like, "Fuck, Johnny has done me in here. I cannot believe this. The only way to stop
he
this."
could have. He's like going between dimensions, trying to find like another Valentine that isn't affected by this, but it just keeps transferring over and over.
Yeah, he transfers underwater sometimes, and he's like drowning, and it's like.
And it's not clear exactly how many times he does it, but he could have fucking done it thousands of fucking times for all we know.
And so he realizes the only way to save himself, quote unquote, is he needs Johnny to reverse it with reverse infinite energy. And so they have the Mexican standoff, the villain's speech, the villain's backstory, everything.
I.e. the best part of the best part of the best series ever.
It's so good.
So whenever I watch a good ass fucking film or play a good ass fucking game, whenever there's a really good part, I get this feeling. And when I read this part of Steel Ball Run, I got that feeling, and that feeling you can't really put it into words, but it's just like, this is fucking good.
Yes.
You're just completely absorbed by it, and if you haven't experienced that, you need to watch more.
You're an
things.
uncultured swine. This is so engrossing and so wonderfully written, so wonderfully drawn. Everything aligns, and the themes are paying off. It's all fucking great.
So, I don't think we can do it justice, but we will try. We
haven't even mentioned that Funny Valentine's gone from an ugly fucking fatso to a beautiful godlike being.
Yeah, and that's not explained. Like, you could argue that he's been trading himself with fitter versions, like in other dimensions. But it's like whatever. Yeah, whatever. He's cool now.
Yeah, and his standability is such a thing that you can probably literally wave that away as, oh yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
So he reasons with Johnny about why he is doing the thing, and his philosophy and his backstory.
We didn't mention the fucking napkin!
No, we're doing it. We're doing this now. So he goes back to his childhood, where he is just a standard boy in the middle of the Civil War. And in a reference to Pulp Fiction, a soldier who served with his father comes in and says, "Your father was the greatest soldier who's ever lived. He loved his country more than anything, and so should you. You should be absolutely proud of your father, Captain Valentine, the greatest man who's ever lived, who withstood he withstood a year of torture from like the opposing side. I don't know which. I guess he was on the
yeah. I don't think it's clear which side.
I guess he wasn't part of the Union or the South. I don't know much about the Civil War either, so I'm not.
Confederacy.
He wasn't.
I don't think they specify.
Sure.
But anyway,
he hid a handkerchief behind his eye socket, which
because
go on.
Because the handkerchief had his son Funny Valentine's birthday on it, and it was his one memory, his one connection to his family.
Yes. And so he fought so hard and loved his country and withstood everything, and also loved his family and was doing everything for his country. And his memory of his family was keeping him alive. And this story touches Funny Valentine in such a way that he develops a basically ultra-nationalist view, in that patriotism, his love for his country, is the thing that matters above all else, above his own life, his own satisfactions. His country matters above everything.
He conflates family with
his country will become
nation.
his family.
Like that's what patriotism is. Patry, father, all that kind of shit.
Yeah, sure. And then
fucking hell.
His philosophy becomes he gives a speech about how if you have a table full of napkins, all to the left, and they're also all to the right, how do you choose which napkin to take? And everybody will be unsure and not have a clue what to do unless you have the confidence and the willpower to take the first napkin. Then that decides everyone else's order in which they take napkins.
Therefore, his actions as the president, getting the corpse parts, orchestrating the race, all of this
his
shit.
Proactiveness.
Yes, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, he considers himself a completely selfless individual.
Yes.
He is doing everything he's done is for America.
It's for the greater good of its
his
people.
country. It doesn't matter if he's ended up being responsible for the deaths of loads of fucking people. But because he took the initiative, he took the first napkin, he set off this chain of events. He has done overall, he's been a strong leader. He has provided for his country, and that is all that matters.
Those sacrifices are worth it for the greater good of every person in his country. And this is what he gets to Johnny with. He's like, look, I'm doing this for everyone. Everyone's misfortune, even your own misfortune of being crippled and stuff, comes under this. In that, if you help me, I'm doing this for everyone. You're doing this for selfish reasons. Why don't you help me? Come to the dark side, Luke, because I don't care about what happens to myself. I don't care if I die or the people who've died. As long as everyone in America lives prosperous and happy lives into a new golden age.
And ultimately, that's his fucking job as the president, is to look out for his country, to better his country. So you're reading him say this and give his offer to Johnny, you've been a selfish prick this whole time. Can you do something like this, helps other people for once? You're reading this, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, and this is usually you get in with Star Wars, come to the dark side, Luke. You're sitting there thinking, why would I ever come to the dark side?
I'm not coming to the dark side.
This speech made me go, do you know what, actually? maybe. Maybe. Are we the baddies,
Are we the baddies, indeed? And, fucking hell, talking about it doesn't do it justice.
So
and,
convincing.
despite the fact this is a fucking shitty fan translation that we've both read, it's the theme is
so strong.
Philosophical fucking point is so fucking strong. It fucking hits you like a truck.
And especially because Johnny's entire motivation is completely selfish. All he wants to do is fix his own legs so he can continue riding horses really good. He doesn't want to do it to help other people. He only wants to fix himself, and he always has. And it's only until recently that his the friendship he's made has made him question his own motivations. And so you get this genuine moment of hesitation where Johnny's considering reversing what's happened to Valentine in a Mexican standoff. Because it's sort of okay, if he can kill Johnny, maybe that will fix it as well. Is sort of that's also the other thing that's playing in the back of your mind. Is he doing this to try and trick Johnny to kill him so that he can, or is he genuinely hey, look, I'm trying to appeal to you so that we can win here.
And the fact that Johnny doesn't really debate with him about this point. He's like, no, you're totally right. However, he doesn't contribute to it, which adds to your feeling as a reader, being like, what the fuck? This, I don't know what to think about this.
Is Johnny actually going to do it?
And Johnny, so, as I say, he doesn't contribute, and he's just like, okay, but how do I know you're telling the truth? Yeah. I know. I have this, there's this gun here, which is Diego's gun, I believe, or Hot Pants' gun. Mm-hmm. It's someone's gun, and it doesn't have a bullet in it. So, we can assume that you've been going to parallel dimensions and you've been in roughly the same position. Therefore, events have progressed in those dimensions at roughly a similar sort of way that they have here. And we see that when he does go through other dimensions, is like in a similar position. So, okay, I'll toss this gun to you, and if you have taken this gun from another dimension which has a bullet in it, the two will collide with each other, and I'll know that you are planning to double cross me and shoot me with a fucking gun. And Valentine says the best line in the part, probably, which I can't fucking remember because it's translated poorly. Let me look this up.
While you do it, I'll just say that also, I mean, you also get the backstory of how he got the stand, and that he served in the war in basically is he wants to be patriotic and he serves for the army, for his country, sort of thing. His whole platoon gets wiped out except for him, and he wanders into the desert, which happens to be the Devil's Palm, and he is saved after he gains the heart of Jesus, and gains his stand default C. And it also shows that he was severely wounded in a way that he literally has the stars and stripes on his back in scars.
Yeah. That's fucking mental.
It's so good. Okay.
Alright, I found the line, and I'm not happy with the translation, but the point comes across regardless. So Johnny makes that offer. It's like, I'll toss you this gun if the fucking universe, like, colliding cube shit doesn't happen. I'll know you're telling the truth, and that you mean everything you said. Funny Valentine replies saying, my heart and actions are utterly unclouded. They are all those of justice. Pulls out a gun, shoots Johnny.
Yep.
So, what the fuck does this mean? Does this mean Funny Valentine was lying about all of that? Or does it mean that this was like an insurance policy? And there is no answer, really.
No, it's not. It's left up to your interpretation in that you're not really sure if... He doesn't even know if killing Johnny will fix him as well.
Exactly.
And so it's sort of like... was that all the story he spun? To try and get Johnny on his side, and we'll never know.
So you're immediately confronted with this intense moral dilemma of selflessness equals patriotism ? Maybe, and then that's immediately shattered. Like, okay, you've got this fucking murderer. Like, can we trust anything he said based on what just happened? It's like, not necessarily. So there's a lot of people that say Funny Valentine is not the bad guy.
Of course he's the fucking bad guy. He literally wants to kill every other country.
Exactly. So, that moral dilemma hits you. You're like, okay, is he right? And you're like, oh, wait. No, he's not right.
He's extremely grey. He is grey because he isn't... He's not... I get the feeling that if it was another way, he wouldn't be killing other countries if he could. If the solution was that it didn't, but it just happens to be the solution that saves America is completely fuck other countries. So I don't get the feeling he is racist. He's just so pro-America that he doesn't care what happens. Like he care, like in the same way that if your family was being attacked and you were offered the ability to kill 10 other families, that's not because you hate those families, it's because that's the way to save your family in your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And needless to say, if it isn't coming across, this is extremely deep for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The series that started with fucking vampires and stupid fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean,
we've progressed to the point where we're like questioning nationhood and the greyest moral dilemmas in like anime in general, manga. Like it's fucking.
We have sound dinosaur infections, and then we get to is selflessness and patriotism. Does that really help in the world, or are we all folly in general?
Is selflessness like for a cause still selfish in a way? Like it's philosophical as fuck.
Is there any such thing as true altruism?
Exactly.
It's fucking mad.
It's fucking crazy.
And I can't not think that Araki did plan this idea. Because I know
absolutely
this then throws lots of previous JoJo into complete like array for me, because I'm like, surely he's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, he's probably just clutching at straws and got a bit lucky. But then I'm like, no, he really is that good, and just happens to be just like, I don't know, he's just crazy.
Yeah, it really reframes everything that's happened before it, and you're like, this is all a fucking master plan all along, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hate to bring up the comparison, but you know that fucking stupid theory, like, I can't remember what the theory was, but about the Star Wars prequels and how George Lucas planned it. Yeah, it's that, except fucking real.
Yeah, absolutely. Where you're like, oh shit, actually, do you know what? He is a genius.
He actually is a fucking genius, and this moment is like one of the best in fiction that I've experienced.
It made me like walk away from my PC after reading it. Like, okay, man.
Yeah. Proper fucking goosebumps reading those words. So
yeah.
Funny Valentine dies.
Yeah. So Johnny uses Act 4 to kill D4C, I think. Breaks a...
But then you realise there's 4 chapters left.
Yeah, nobody's won the Steel Ball run, and Johnny's sort of left alone. Gyro's died like a true hero. His true man's world. He's faced someone. His arc is he's done it. He's
yeah. He tries to find the Gyro's corpse so that he can like arrange a burial.
Yeah.
And while he's doing that, wait a minute, where's the fucking corpse gone? Who's that? Who's that handsome man?
Extremely handsome
in the distance. Who's that extremely handsome British man in the distance? No fucking way. Diego Brando. What? I saw you get ripped in half by a train, Diego. What are you doing here? Wait a minute. What's that thing standing to the side of you? Is that a stand?
Zawaldo?
Zawaldo? Okay, so I'm gonna say it straight up. When I first read that after the fucking bombshell that was Funny Valentine and fucking all those of Justice, I was like, what have you done? Why have you done this?
Yeah, me too. I really was like, no, let that be the ending. Come on.
Okay, so it does require some thought to justify it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do justify it, Steel Ball Run gets even better in my mind.
I still can't justify it, so you're going to have to blow my mind on air.
Oh. Alright, fucking hell. Well, let's explain what happens. So, turns out, Funny Valentine had a plan C after the gun, which was... Well, actually, it even further enhances his plan that he actually was doing it for the country.
Yeah.
In that, okay, Diego, if my plan fucks up, if Johnny ends up killing me regardless, or if like the spin can't be undone, I want you, in this universe's Diego that has a different stand, to come back to the main universe and take the corpse part to the fucking bunker in a church in New York where it can spread its holy jism all over America. I want you to do that, and then you can basically just fucking do whatever you want.
You can have all the affluence and power that you could ever dream of. We're not so different.
It's still Diego. He still fucking wants that shit. He craves that shit. So he's like, fuck yeah, I'll do that. And I get to fuck over Johnny. Brilliant.
Yeah. I'm glad we left Diego's backstory to last as well. Even though that was explained way further in. But yeah, go on.
It's a good time to explain it. So Diego's backstory was explained way fucking earlier in the part. We just forgot to mention it.
It's not.
He's just a poor boy from a poor family.
Mini Vega. It's not so different from the actual Dio story in part 1.
Yeah, it's much more poignantly told,
absolutely.
though.
In that, you see Dio as a child. He's a loving child, a lovely, selfless, and very kind child. They just happen to be very, very poor in a civil war No, it's in England, isn't it?
No, it's fucking England.
In just a relatively ravaged part of England where there's just no food. Dio's dad's a bit... I'm saying Dio, but his dad's a prick, as usual, like a drunk idiot, similar to Dario Brando. And his mother is almost like Mary Magdalene levels of true, pure goodness. and she does everything in her power to make sure that her son has the best life, and is tormented by this and still refuses to show any like hatred or anything bad to Diego, to anyone else. To the point where even when they're giving out food rations, and
they're like indebted, basically, like servants to a household, and they're getting beat, like just treated so poorly.
Their payment, because some indiscretion or whatever, they take away her plate privileges, and so she can have the food, but she doesn't have a plate. And so in doing so, she still obviously wants to feed her child who is ill, like, you know, Dio, who needs food and is hungry, and like they work their asses off. She cups her hands together and takes the boiling soup in her hands, causing massive burns, with a smile on her face to feed her child. In that really touched me. I was like, oh my god, I felt so bad for Dio in that he's had such a horrible upbringing.
And like that is all the fucking justification you need for a character to fucking hate everyone,
to hate the elite and the upper class and the poor situation he was given.
Yes, and he realizes the value, like he doesn't want to have anything to do with that. He doesn't want to put anyone else through that situation. And to him, the best way that he can avoid that is to rise up the ranks as far as he can.
Pure ambition.
So that he never has to deal with that ever again. And it's that's fucking fair enough.
He also nearly drowns, and there's something to do with that, and his mum dies or something, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, his mum does end up dying.
And so does his dad's a bit of a dickhead and just fucking leaves him. But he is so driven. He's turned at that point from this pure, good-natured, good-hearted boy. He's soured to the world and changes his...
Like, what is... Yeah. Like, there's no reason to go about your life being a fucking, like, subjugated and being all happy about it. There's no point to that, because look what happened to my mum when she did that.
The goodness in the world gets killed and destroyed. And it also is a nice contrast to Johnny Joestar, because Johnny Joestar is a prick. He's a pretty shitty kid he's obviously had a shitty upbringing, but he's a shitty person, basically. Selfish.
And an aristocratic,
comes from wealth, which is also a nice reversal on Phantom Blood, in that Jonathan Joestar is pure, good, gentleman, rich person. Dio is pretty much a dickhead from birth, even though he sort of has a nice mum, but is a shit kid who's shit poor kid who wants to take over, and it's like almost a reversal of, you see the more nuances in their characters and how their life upbringings affect them, and then Dio becomes really driven by ambition and power crazy at the end, and Johnny has more of a selfless good nature after everything that's happened.
Yes. It's the way they deal with the things that come afterwards is what defines them ultimately. Yes. It's the journey. It's not so much
the beginning,
their origins. Journey, yeah, exactly. It's where they end up. And obviously, they go about it very different ways. But as we've said multiple times throughout this, Johnny is driven purely for selfish reasons. Dio, as well, is driven purely for selfish reasons. And the way they go about it, about achieving these goals, ultimately comes to a head in the final part of Steel Ball Run.
High voltage.
The Steel Ball Run race is still fucking going on, by the way. There's still billions of dollars on the line. Diego's like, I'm going to win this fucking race. I'm going to take this fucking corpse part with my Stanzo Warudo, which stops fucking time. And I'm going to win the race, bitch. See ya. Yeah. And it was like, oh,
and so there is still like a reason why it's like, oh fuck, Johnny needs to continue in this race. Because Johnny doesn't actually have any real motivation to continue in the race after this. The corpse parts were his only motivation, really. He has money. He doesn't care. He has fame. He has all the things he needs. The only thing is like, he needs to stop Diego from completing Funny Valentine's plan. And so the race is still on, and you get more references to Jotaro versus Dio. Except Johnny is so smart, he figures shit out so quickly.
Yeah. Okay, that is a flaw, I guess. But, you know, it's Johnny Joestar. He's fucking smart.
Yeah.
And fucking whatever. So, he chases after him to get the corpse part. They end up in New York, the final leg of the race. And there is some neat time stop shit that we've all seen before. Fucking string up some wire. Fucking what in the stop time.
Knives.
Etc. etc. Go in the sewers. Oh, Johnny, you killed a bystander because I moved her in the stop time and all that fucking shit. So, end up with Johnny. I can't remember how he reflects it, do you?
Reflects what?
He reflects the infinite spin shot back at Johnny.
I can't remember either. Fight ensues. It sucks. Johnny gets reflected his infinite spin back on him somehow because Dio is fucking genius.
Well, you can assume that Dio's been filled in on everything by Funny Valentine. Like, this guy can shoot his fingernails. He has the infinite spin. Watch out for that shit, because if you get hit by it, you'll turn into fucking spaghetti like me. So Dio somehow I can't fucking remember. I remember being quite clever. Let me look it up.
Essentially, while this happens, obviously, Johnny is taken out of the race and needs to reverse the spin on himself, or the same thing will happen to him than happened to Funny Valentine. Dio looks like he's smashed it. He's run ahead and he's won the race. He's done it.
I remember.
Go on.
I remember. So he shoots it at the world's leg. Dio cuts the leg off, throws it at Johnny, so that the spin goes into him.
Oh shit.
So Johnny has now spaghettied himself. He is now fucking experiencing what Valentine did, and he fucking can't undo it. Because he's turning into fucking spaghetti.
Yeah. And
Dio's like, haha, I won.
Dio's lost a leg, but he's the ultimate winner.
Oh wait, hang on. Before we do that, so they cross the fucking river, and Johnny sees his dad in the crowd, and he's cheering him on, and he's like, "That's my son, Johnny Joestar," and everyone turns around to him. Is like. Then they start cheering, like, yeah! It's like, oh, that's nice, isn't it? He's happy with his son now.
And George publicly he apologises. He's like, I realise, and I mean, it's the classic, like, everything's gone right at the end for the hero. All his stuff has come back, but
still in your mind, you've got that Funny Valentine shit going on. It's like Johnny Joestar is still a fucking bastard, isn't he? And he's like, everything's going his way. No, Dio has stolen it. Yet again.
It was me.
So, it was me, Dio. Con Dio. Johnny is fucking turning in spaghetti on the bridge. Diego wins the race.
Diego wins the race.
Loco
then it
second.
goes Poco Loco, Norisuke. I think Johnny somehow manages to finish fifth.
I don't even remember. It's decently what, because I think it's just on points though.
Yeah.
Rather than
sure. He does finish, but he doesn't finish like Yeah.
So Diego is going to the bunker with the corpse parts to lock them in this incredibly fucking high-tech steel electronic bunker in 1839 in the basement of a church, which will somehow like transfer all of Ticket to Ride's magic Jesus energy across the entire nation. However, Lucy Steele comes down the stairs, and I'm reading the wiki. Right, I remember now. She comes down the stairs with something in her arms. It's like, what do you expect to do against me? You don't have a stand. You're just a 14-year-old girl. I'm Dio. I'm probably gonna rape you after this. Lol. Ha 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 ha. Takes the bandit. Unwraps it. It's fucking. This universe is Dio's head. And it's like, what? She throws the head at him.
He fucking explodes.
Dio fucking explodes.
And Lucy Steele recovers the holy corpse. Lucy Steele is extremely intelligent character with no stand, managing to defeat some of the top stand users logically. Really great character.
Yeah. So, they end up putting the corpse in the bunker anyway, because, like, what the fuck are they going to do with that? Really? Or, like, the CIA get involved or some shit? I don't know.
The CIA basically take it.
The president's fucking missing, obviously, so, but no one cares because the race is such a big fucking deal.
Yeah. And it's sort of like weird of, like, what was the plan then for Funny Valentine? Like, if it ends up in the same place anyway, or is it's not? It doesn't actually go into the bunker. It goes into somewhere else. I don't know. The CIA take it.
I'm pretty sure it ends up in the bunker because it's expanded in JoJo a little bit.
Yeah, but Funny Valentine's plan doesn't come to pass for some reason. Lucy still...
No, it does come to pass, but it doesn't fully for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Or it like wasn't as effective as they thought it'd be, or something
doesn't
like
actually
that.
give off the whatever his plan of making America great again doesn't happen. Dio is dead, and then Steven Steele saves Johnny Joestar before Johnny can kill himself, basically.
Yep.
And Johnny manages to reverse the spaghettification with his own spin.
Yes, because you need the horse plus the spin to get the perfect spin. So he just puts him on the horse so he can shoot himself again.
I think it was revealed that the spin users they perfected their spin on horseback, and so that is why it's the best kind of spin. They're originally horseback warriors or something.
Because horses are nature and therefore they gallop in the perfect rectangle. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So, everything's been solved. It's been wrapped up in a nice little bow. Johnny can fucking stand now.
Yeah, so using the infinite rotation has made him able to use his legs.
Well, that was what he wanted all the time. I hope it was worth it, Johnny, you fucking prick. So, Johnny, we end Steel Ball Run. Johnny's on a boat taking Gyro's fucking corpse back to his parents. The end.
But then it's like at the end you get a like, oh, Gyro's dead. It really sucks and it's really sad. But hopefully,
it's like the Kingdom of Naples got dissolved, and the little kid that Gyro entered the race to save the life of. He gets freed. Freed. Everything's fine. He later just died.
Then he dies of a cold. And it's like, fuck off, Araki.
What the fuck? So,
I don't even know what that means.
I can't decide what that is. I think that's just like, I made a really fucking grey plot here. I'm just gonna throw that in just to fuck with it. Yeah. or it's like him going, okay, we knew that was why Gyro entered the race. We kind of just forgot about it, so I'll make a joke, a really dark joke about it. Either way,
or like Gyro's, the reason for Gyro entering the race wasn't right all along and wasn't worth it. Maybe, I don't know.
Or it's like, it further fucking complicates things. It's like, is anything fucking worth it in the end? If just random shit's gonna happen, Poochie,
is Gyro's version of selflessness really right compared to Funny Valentine's? I don't know. But either way, you can't. And so Johnny meets his wife, who is a Higashikata. Norisuke.
Wait, what the fuck? That's part 8.
No, Johnny meets Rina Higashikata on the boat.
In part 7?
He meets
really?
Rina Higashikata after he's talking to Norisuke on the boat, and they get like, they exchange looks with each other, basically. And you'll later find out it's his wife, but, and he sets off to bury his friend Gyro. But you still can't convince me that Dio's The World was worth it, or made this part better. You still haven't...
Right. Okay. Here we go. I'll try and do this. I haven't fucking prepared this, but it does make sense. Fuck you. Here's why.
Fuck you, Riddler.
So, we've hinted at it, and I fucking spelled it out in the disclaimer before we got to the manga only parts. But we've established that Araki has set up a mythos with parts 1 through 6, and he's retelling them in Steel Ball Run. Steel Ball Run is obviously a retelling of parts 1 through 3, though that's very reductive to put it like that. It's obviously much more than just a retelling. It's like using the framework as like a legendary mythos in the same way like the fucking Herculean shit and all that mythological bullshit is doing that, And it's very clever because it's a manga, and we all like manga and stands. So, the reason it makes sense to me is because Diego, I brought this up specifically, so in the flashback of Johnny as a kid with the mouse and shit, we've established that Dio is always there whenever misfortune seems to happen to him. Like, he's there constantly throughout the race, fucking things up for him. He's the one who sort of initiates the spin training, because like Gyro gives his first lessons as a result of the sound dinosaurs, all that sort of shit. He's the first like proper stand battle they have when they both have stands. All that shit. There is a fucking rivalry between them.
Yeah.
And it's set up throughout it. It's not as like blatant as part 1's rivalry is between Jonathan and Dio, because that's the most blatant fucking rivalry in fucking anything. So it's further mirroring parts 1 through 3 by Jonathan and Dio. I'm going to use Diego and Dio brand. Dio referring to, original Dio. So that rivalry also ends rather abruptly, right? They're on the you think he's killed Dio. Oh, he comes back on the train. Jonathan fucking dies. So, flash forward to part 3. Dio's back. Ah, shit. What's going on? Now, part 7. The rivalry gets cut off abruptly, with Dio literally getting cut off halfway up his fucking body and dying. The rivalry has not been resolved. Therefore, in order to properly retell the story with all of the, dramatic weight evenly distributed, he has to come back, essentially.
Sure.
And it's as simple as that.
Oh yeah, I don't
really.
mind that. I find it weird that he has the world.
He has... Okay, so... Obviously JoJo isn't about the details. We've said that millions of times now. He has the world because this fucking Scary Monsters was not his stand. He happened to steal
Which
Scary
makes sense
Monsters
because he's
from the stand user.
He steals that. He takes things to further his own goals. So he's taken it. He's even his own stand. He's taken it.
So in a slightly different parallel dimension, he ended up with his own stand, which was the world. Diego Brando's stand is the world, and had he not been given Scary Monsters, his stand in the main universe would be the world. So, what's the issue?
Well, I just find it is like... I found it as like... it just sort of like... It's unnecessary. This is the only... Trust me, this is the only part of Steel Ball Run where I'm like... I wish they didn't do that. In that... Because I like that Diego's stand... Because I hated that Diego's stand was the same stand as Dr. Ferdinand's to start with. Then I thought... it makes sense with this character that his stand and everything about him isn't his own, is stolen. And then at the end, it's like, the world is his stand because, remember part 3? I wish it was still Scary Monsters. I wish it was that. If it was still Scary Monsters in some way, or was sort of like in some way Scary Monsters, like the soul was transferred over to it, I would love this. I would love everything about it.
Okay, so...
But it makes sense that it can't be... And, if they brought back Dio, what would his stand be? It can't be Scary Monsters. It makes sense in that way. But I kind of just like... I rolled my eyes a lot. And I felt like it was more of a reference than was necessary to the story.
Okay, here's what I think. So, that obviously comes right after Valentine. And the entire focus of the story shifted from the race, which was very, very much... the focal point of the entire story for like the first quarter of the story, obviously. And then it becomes all about the corpse parts, and then it becomes all about Valentine. And then you're overwhelmed by Valentine. Like, obviously you are. And you forget that there's a fucking race going on. There's more going on to this story than just the corpse parts. There's things going on. The race is still fucking happening. Johnny still has fucking issues that he has to get over. It's not everything's going to get sold, the corpse parts. So Dio is essentially just a continuation of that. It's a way to wrap up the rest of the story. As for why it's like the world, is like, it's part 3 again.
I know.
Fight mirrors.
I know. I don't know. I kind of wish it wasn't. I wish it was still Scary Monsters. That's the only thing. That's the only gripe. I can't justify it in my head. It like makes logical sense, but it doesn't thematically keep. It doesn't. It feels more like a like, hey, remember this.
I don't think like the reason it doesn't though, and the only reason I can come up with to put into words right now is that I don't think it is just because the other things that have happened aren't just empty references.
I know.
I don't think it is an empty. And like, I wish I could explain it.
I'm
better,
sure that if there is a way,
it would require a lot of thought.
This is the greatest thing to ever exist in fiction. But I just I still like I can't get over it. But either way, I'm gonna reread it eventually, obviously, and hopefully I can come up with a more concise answer. Because like I said, I felt the exact same way as you when I first read it, and I've somehow, fucking fixed it all together in my mind. I don't know how to put it into words. I'm sure someone out there has explained it. Yeah, it's weird because usually Araki doesn't care about the logical details or how logically things happen, and it's all to do with thematics and character arcs and stuff. Whereas this seems to be almost the opposite in that it's actually logically makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't work thematically. It's the only time, and that's I don't know. That's just how it seems in my head. But even then, it does. It could have been worse. It could have been way worse.
And it doesn't ruin.
No, it doesn't ruin the part.
It's
it's still like even I went. Oh, I like the world. I really like the world. I'm glad the world's back.
We all like the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to talk about, as I've pointed out by stumbling over my words and trying to justify it. I think there is definitely something to it, and both of us, we've only read it fucking once.
I do need to read it again. I'm halfway through Stone Ocean again, but
yeah. So, I don't know. Fucking look up some video SSA on it or some shit. I don't know. Someone's probably talked about it, but I think
Steel Ball Run is amazing.
It's themes.
Steel Ball Run is amazing. The friendship between Gyro and Johnny is so palpable and real. And Gyro is my favourite character, probably, apart from Dio. Just because Gyro is so complex, he's so entertaining. He has it's just really cool and a really cool design. Everything about him. I love the concept of a race, and I love how it's integrated into the story. I like how each of the characters is complex and has goals and motivations and character relationships. I like the ending theme and how great Funny Valentine is. And how each of the characters seems to be like has opposing ideologies and backstories and themes that relate to each other, and even then it becomes like philosophically poignant at the end. It all works so well.
Yes.
And the setting. God, what more can you say? Steel Ball Run is just a masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece. And like, fuck. What else can we say about Steel Ball Run?
I literally don't know. I mean, there's probably loads of like small things that we could talk about, but I think that's good anyway. To just. I think the final thing is maybe we'll touch on Part 8 JoJo, not nearly as much as it's not finished. I don't think we can go into depth analysis. Just talk about it for 10 minutes, and then just to wrap.
So JoJo, right? So I think part way into Part 7, Araki realized that he is a fucking super genius, and realized he's an artist, and JoJo is a fucking Lynchian nightmare that makes no fucking sense on first reading, and I have no idea what's going on.
Sure, I thought it was just like entertaining JoJo. Like when I was reading through it, I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," but like not nearly as good as Part 6, Part 7, or and then as you keep going through it and get towards the end, you realise that lots of things from Steel Ball Run tie into it. It's leading on to a lot of themes. I really like it, Adam. I really, really like it, and it has the potential to be really good. It's essentially it's a family mystery, like power struggle, sort of. In that there's lots of like mysteries that are like, oh, who is that? You don't even know who the main character is. He's just called Gappy. because that doesn't even have a name.
Well,
Called Josuke Higashikata because that's what they name him. And he's like a fusion between two people in Yoshikage Kira from part 4, and you're like, oh, what is happening? And then there's like you see like different stand users who's like attacked him for different reasons. It's like and you adopt him into a family of Higashikatas who have secrets themselves, and they're all like mysterious, and it is like a very mysterious. But then at the moment, a lot of the mysteries have been sort of solved and resolved, and it doesn't make too much sense why they were so weird to start with. But the stand battles are really entertaining in this part. I really like a lot of them. And there is a lot of the stand battles which I really like, which aren't fights to the death. Like California King Bed is really cool. You have like the Les Foils or the Flowers Shakedown Road. And like even some of the characters are very strong. Like Joshua is an absolute prick, even though he's just an absolute prick. Really despicable character. You've got like actual love and romance in this part. This is like the first part where it's all about a soul romance between two characters. Yasuho.
Let me interrupt you by saying JoJolion is by far the most unique part by a very, very long way.
This feels a lot less like JoJo. It's just a weird mystery story with stands in it.
Yeah. And you're very, like, after Steel Ball Run, after it clocks that, yes, it's a retelling of the framework set up by 1 through 6, you're expecting, oh, it's in Morio. Oh, the main guy is called Josuke. Oh, it's doing part 4. Yoshikage Kira. It's gonna be part 4 again. It's not fucking part 4. It's not at all. It's its own thing, and I think that really took me off guard because I was really expecting that, and I really, really need to reread it because as I said, it's not making any sense. I like it, but I don't. After Steel Ball Run, compared to that,
it's hard to analyze anything that isn't finished yet. Like we've been spending this whole year fighting a doctor who we don't even properly know what his ability is. Most recently, Spin is sort of revealed to be part of, Josuke's stand. It's hinted that stands can evolve using a fruit and stuff, and it's all about exchange. Like the whole thing is about sacrificing oneself, and it's implied that Johnny Joestar also became a saint in some ways. From his self-sacrifice, which implies character development off screen again, which is nice, and ties in more with how stands are made, not through Jesus itself, but through saints, and they create devil's palms, which is nice. Once again, a lot of the character design and the interesting fights are like the only thing at the moment is it's very nebulous. There's no like end point. Which obviously I moaned about
for JoJo.
part 4 for that, the first half. But for some reason, I don't mind it so much in this because it's still... I guess we'll find out what the main accumulation will be. I reckon I in my head, think it'll be a fight between the family in that the mother, Kato, is very selfish and does not self-sacrifice. She's very selfish once more, and doesn't embody the true morals and themes of the family. Whereas Josuke, who has been adopted into the family, does have those morals, and so will ultimately win and become a true Higashikata, or a king. There's lots of cool stuff, and I'm sure there's lots of cool stuff coming, but it's very hard to say for sure when it's like the longest fucking part ever where there's not much happened.
It's really hard to talk about because obviously it's all predicated. It starts off on the whole mystery of like who is Josuke. He seems to be a combination of two people, but how does that happen? It's like, oh, actually, that is exactly what happened, and it's like, okay, where do we go from here? It's like the fruit.
Yeah, there's rock humans and shit, which are.
It's very. It's weird even for JoJo, and I don't mean that in
it's like a black sheep. It's like a black sheep of stories.
It's very Steel Ball Run is still as stories go, it's pretty straightforward. Like MacGuffin, point to the story. Here you go. And this is all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it.
There is always a through line plot of like, why are they doing this? Why are they going here? What are they doing?
The point to A to point B stuff makes sense, but it's like very hard to point out what JoJolian is about.
And at the moment, it seems to be just
even
building
at this
up
point.
Characters for maybe like I reckon in March or April we will have some indication of what the main resolution will be. Because all the rock humans should, in theory, be wiped out. It's definitely a love story between Yasuho and... she steals this part. Yasuho steals this part. She is...
It's fucking shocking how you have 7 parts of shit female characters with, like, Jolene, Hermes, and Lucy. Except those guys. Fucking... Yasuho's like a fucking human being.
Yeah, and she's a lovely human being with like a sad backstory, and that involves into her like decisions in life, and it makes perfect sense for her to have her like feelings and relationship with Gappy. It really, and she is a really great character. She's a really well-rounded human being with her own personal motivations and goals.
That is one thing I do really appreciate about this part, is that it's the most real setting in JoJo, and that obviously helps that it's like set in modern times, or at least modern when it started publishing 2011, right? Yeah. But like having that extra sort of basis in reality really, and like you said, Yasuo has a sad backstory. It's not like in part 7 where it's like, oh, I fed my sister to a fucking grizzly bear. It's like, oh fuck,
it's
that's
like
fucked
a
up.
Real,
it's like
very
it's a very normal, like, oh, I have this sort of thing in my past, which is kind of sad.
My mum isn't the best mum, but she's still there.
That's not me. That's not defining me. I am actually a character beyond all of that. It just leads
to my sort of mistrust and wanting to like grope on and have someone who I truly like believe and love in and feel that sort of nurturing feeling. Really, it's
fuck
really
Joshu.
Good. And Joshu is like the standard prick who is only in it for just hand jobs and sex. And he's
but a fucking like. Araki knows what he's doing there, because he's intentionally made the most hateable piece of shit character, and everything goes his way all the fucking time, and you're waiting for something to like pay off, and it sort of did recently.
Even then, it's like as of December 2020, it's sort of like, is Joshu gonna have his turn, have his redemption here? And no, he doubles down into ultra prick mode, and he's not good enough to be a villain. It's just like he's just a flawed, like bad character who's spoiled, and it's I don't know. It's really the thing I'm more interested in right now in this part is I want to see Yasuho and Gappy interact and confess their love for each other. That's what I'm invested in, is their relationship. I mean, the whole... Like, Kato is probably the main villain, I'd say, at this point. Pretty much.
Probably.
Because fucking everybody else is dead. As it's all coming towards a head of, like, the curse of the family is getting towards the the countdown. Is, there's a time limit. And Kato is there, and her place in the story makes a lot of sense thematically, and that she's an outsider. She's the divorced mother. She doesn't seem to have as much love for her child. Maybe she's a rock human, and it makes sense for her to be the main villain thematically. It's just she hasn't had pretty much any backstory apart from one really nice bit with Jobin, which explains Jobin's personality and her personality. Really, okay. I'm lying, actually. I really love her character so far. I really like each character and how they've developed. I really like it. And I think...
Yeah.
And when it comes together, and when it will be a family squabble, essentially, at the end with stand battles, it's going to be... I'm hoping it pays off on what I hope it does. And JoJo gets King Creole as his final stand.
It's sort of... You've made me sort of realise what the problem is for me, at least on the first reading. And that is... So we said before that, like, part 5 and 6 is like, standard story and then slap a theme on it. Steel Ball Run is sort of like the perfect balance between story and theme. This is 100% theme. And like there's very little
plot story,
actual story.
It's very much like, this is the villain. We need to do this because he's in our way.
And the whole thing is like, I hope that's clever. I hope that pays off. And you just gotta hope it pays off, even now, like because there's nothing to go on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's because the villains themselves feel very like by the by. They're obstacles. They are rock humans, and by design, they don't really have much of a personality. Some of them do. They have nuance, and some of them have, like... But they are literally almost like robots created to not like humans, have stand abilities, and to literally kill people. So they feel very impersonal. Which is why Kato will work very well if she is a rock human. As she will have that personal connection. But it does feel like, at the moment, they are just like this... unempathetic killing, and like they're drug smugglers. They're like, they're not good. They're criminal, bad people who hate humans. They're hardly, a funny Valentine or anything. So that it definitely feels like, the mysteries are more interesting than the villains just sort of turn up and get in the way, and they're just villains for villains' sake. Which is a problem.
The initial mystery was very, very interesting.
Oh yeah, certainly. And like I like Gappy as a character. I like his backstory and why he's doing things. I like Yasuho, and I like a lot of the characters themselves. They're well rounded and well done. It is just, you're right, the plot itself, there is no like through line of I see why this is happening from the enemy side. They just seem to be like, we're born from wasps and we don't like humans and we're just doing this because fuck it, why not? They seem to be just to get rich.
It's a very fucking hard sell, and I don't think, if it wasn't Hirohiko Araki, author of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series, writing this, like, this shit would not fly.
Even now I'm like, this could crash and burn and be like the first part that people don't like, or it could turn out to be an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, it could. Like, even me, I don't really particularly like it too much. I think I would on reviewing, but like there is a potential for nothing to happen, or a potential for it to be fucking great.
There's parts in this which I'm like, this is the best thing ever. This is so good. This is Steel Ball Run level. And then there's lots of parts where I'm like, hey, I'm enjoying myself, but I have no fucking idea what's happening. And I'm a bit confused. And this is like, but then again, this may be the first part for a lot of people where you've come into it where the story isn't finished.
Yeah, that's also true. Especially since like this started just before the anime kicked off, which is when most of Western audiences got into it anyway.
And I mean, obviously, Araki is now under a lot of pressure, considering he basically finishes Magnum Opus. It's Magnus Opus, or whatever. It's Magnum Opus
fucking
Steel Ball
Opus.
Run to finish JoJolion. There's lots of cool stuff, like the whole Elvis stuff and Gappy's hair. The king theming in all of the Higashikata's stands, the theme of family and acceptance, and once again, I love the themes. The story and the plot seems to be the problem. The through line, the clear goals and the enemies don't have a clear goal. They just like money and they're drug smugglers, and it's hardly very interesting. I mean, if
you stick it out because this guy fucking wrote Steel Ball Run, you're like, he can do this. I'm pretty fucking sure he can do this. I just don't know how. I don't know when. I just really fucking hope he does.
If it is like Kato or Card, whatever the fuck, if she does become the main villain who is sending all these bad guys and has been pulling the strings, it does make a lot of sense for her. And I think it would work quite well, as it is the personal touch. But it is very much like a twist at the end.
Yeah, it needs like a super Made in Heaven in its effect on the story. It needs to recontextualize everything, and that's a lot.
And so far, the only thing you've seen is that she can store things between objects, like a spatial stand, like D4C. Her stand will probably be called like
pretty
Queen
much.
of the Stone Age. I'm calling it now. Queens of the Stone Age. I'm calling it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. You can't really talk about it much. There's parts in it I really like. I like the evolution of what Araki's done with his storytelling and romance in this. I really like that.
Yes, it's definitely his most mature work, though whether that's a good thing for JoJo, at least what we know of JoJo prior to this, is another question. But it's definitely interesting. Like there's one thing JoJo doing is.
I think we won't really find out until 2023.
At this rate,
because I mean we're pretty much like the final bad guy is dead, the final boss is dead, and then we're getting to the end game. And if it's like Funny Valentine and 30 chapters, then Christ Almighty, that's 3 years. So who knows? This head doctor fight has been probably the worst part for me. Because it's so confusing. It's so overpowered and confusing, and poorly explained. And it started off as like an interesting idea, and then it's just dragged on for so fucking long. And it has dragged. Yeah. And now they've introduced a fucking plane door hurtling towards Yasuho or someone maybe.
I don't think I've read the latest chapter. Did one come out this month?
One come out a couple of days ago.
Last week.
Basically, the spin is definitely part of Gappy's stand, and he needs to evolve with it.
Yes, that became apparent.
And I really like that Kei Nishimura's back, and she is definitely, she is the perfect counter to the stand. But time will tell.
Time will tell.
Thoughts on the series as a whole. It's great, isn't it?
Great. Steel Ball Run.
I'm excited for Stone Ocean anime. Hopefully, it gets made by David Productions, of course. I'm sure they will add loads of little flourishes that will make it great.
Remove Dragon's Dream.
Maybe it'll be easier to show in animation. They'll have less dialogue.
Yes, with the camera moving around in 3. Well, I say 3.
3D space being shown through animation.
David Pro are good at adapting and enhancing an adaptation, so I'm very excited to see.
I think
the future.
This will be the first part that people. I mean, part 5 was definitely very popular. This will probably be the first part where people in the more mainstream like it. I think.
I think Golden Wind really, really got big. Like,
and if you think about like Giorno's theme is a mainstream meme, like not even like an obscure anime meme or whatever. Like like the to be continued stuff, and it's like yes, JoJo, I get it, but it's like the Giorno's theme is used in fucking everybody's TikTok now. It's proper mainstream. Everything about JoJo is there now.
Let me just say, and this is a personal note, memes are a fucking supplementary thing. They're not. Don't face your life around memes, please. Please.
I like a lot about JoJo is that because obviously a lot of people I've heard say the show's only big because it's made memes. And I retort that saying, no, the show is good and thus inspired memes because of it.
And the thing that really hit that home for me is because I started playing the Capcom fighting game, JoJo game from the 90s. And they referenced the things that later became internet memes. So these are things that are inherently
good and recognizable,
good,
stylish.
It's just always been good. It's just now we realize it, and we're in a fucking awful culture of fucking meme bullshit all the time.
It's the perfect. It's
so
the perfect
you can
meme
enjoy
fodder.
JoJo without being a fucking meme lord.
I know.
Fucking 13-year-old. There's a lot to enjoy here.
The thing is, it's the perfect meme fodder. It's shot. It's like out of context stuff all over the place, which is perfect for memes.
Yes.
It's super stylish. It's got super good production values and good characters that you enjoy. It's got cool. It's cool out of context. It's got great music and everything. So it's kind of inevitable that it would be. It's like almost like to the level that DragonBallZ did, in that it's so fucking awesome that people will just reference it at all times.
Yeah, except the author didn't start phoning it in.
The author didn't just fall asleep and take that paycheck.
Mm.
It's weird because Araki is the only sort of one of the only shonen actors who genuinely seems to be improving as he goes along and becoming almost transcendent.
Yeah, developing for sure, and the key appeal, as I wouldn't call myself an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but like as someone who enjoys art, I think like the really appealing thing about manga is that this is one person who's done all of this.
His sole focus, his sole vision.
And like, it's true auteurship, and that's why it's really fucking.
Oh
good.
Yeah, this is
it's good,
and it's. I mean, what more can you say apart from it's JoJo? It's just read
JoJo,
it,
baby.
watch it, consume it in all walks of life. I think that's pretty much it. For the series, I did have a question because I've heard some rumors that I don't think are true that they're thinking about making a live action Netflix series.
I'm pretty sure that's.
I hope it is a meme, but that would.
There's a live action Rohan spin-off. That's real.
I don't like Rohan. No,
he's cool.
He's boring. He's just dickhead. He's great. He is funny.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't know everybody's obsession with him though. Poco Loco wins the fucking steel ball run race because Dio dies, and so his luck wins out.
So
I forgot about that.
We're now going to. We've done parts 1 through 8, so now we're gonna start talking about Dead Man's questions and Purple Haze feedback. So what did you think of?
I liked the reveal that Kira forgot his memories, and that made me question myself. In that, even a serial killer who is truly evil, without their memories, are they really evil? And in fairness, actually, that is a very interesting idea for a story.
I didn't want you to actually talk about this shit.
He thought I wasn't a fucking true man.
What about Rohan and Gucci? What do you think about that?
Rohan runs on a treadmill against the guy with a stand who is good at running.
I haven't actually watched that. Have you watched these OVAs? Oh, I need to do that.
It's very nicely animated though.
Yeah, I saw him running on the treadmill.
I don't know. I'm excited for Stone Ocean. I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen in part 9 if he makes a part 9. It'll probably just be Italy.
I mean,
do you know what? Because obviously this part 8 is like a lot of homages to part 4 and part 6. In that Green Dolphin prison, like female relationships, and then obviously a lot of part 4 in Morio, Yoshikage Kira and stuff. I genuinely don't know. Will it be wholly original? Because part 5 is the only thing that hasn't been referenced. Although a lot of people seem to think Josuke is going to get King Crimson for some reason. Because King.
Yeah, but what?
I know it doesn't make any sense. So I'd be interested in what part 9 would be. It'd be just like a wholly original part, or maybe it will actually go back to like the Pillarmen. But it seems like the Pillarmen are sort of rock humans, or this version of like.
Yeah.
And Hermes was always a rock human, and so was Enya. I don't know.
Yeah, that was fucking weird when that.
Yeah, I was
happened,
like, oh, okay. I don't know.
Wait,
I trust Araki to do whatever he wants, even though he's 61 and is a vampire.
He looks younger than me, and I'm 50.
Good. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the series, but for one thing, it's going to be entertaining. I can tell you that. Maybe he'll just retire and that's it. He's beaten everyone at manga.
Yeah, that would be fair enough. And then in 40 years, every piece of media, fucking fiction media, will have stands, but they won't be called stands.
I can actually see going forward, like, there being... Marvel will somehow try to make a movie using stands. Or there will be a film that uses the concept of stands, and then everyone will be like, this is better than superpowers.
There was that comic in the 90s, I don't know if you saw it, I can't remember
Diesel.
what it was called, that literally just lifted it,
Diesel.
like, straight up. I
It's
can't
called
remember
Diesel.
what it was called. Have you
Yeah, it's
heard
called
of this?
Diesel.
Oh, Diesel, yeah.
I said it 5 times, you dickhead.
You cut out
did
all
I?
the time,
It's
it's not
Diesel.
my fault. Coronavirus, fuck.
Yeah. It's so much better than superpowers because it is superpowers, but it's inherently about the characters and the personalities. And also
Listen,
the people I just get this point across. I love that all the characters are humans and could die from being shot in the head.
Yes. But listen, it's very obvious that you want to keep talking about JoJo, but I think we've hit the 8-hour mark, and it's time to say goodbye to the boys and girls, all 4 of them who watched this.
8.5 hours talking about JoJo.
And we didn't even talk about part 8.
Tune in next time
More than
where
10
we
minutes.
talk about Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and then maybe Berserk.
Yes. The 9-hour
Soulsburn
Born.
balk.
Soulsborn.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. JoJo.
Read it, buy it, consume it, eat it, inject it, tattoo onto your body, cosplay as it.
Enhance your life with it.
Watch an hour of TikTok video memes about JoJo, not because they're funny or interesting, but because you're sad and pathetic and need more JoJo content. Oh wait, so that was just me.
Watch Synthesia covers of the intros so that when you click off the video, like every webpage looks like it's scrolling up because you've watched so many JoJo.
Watch fan-made musical themes for characters and intros that haven't happened yet, and stand eye catches for things that haven't happened yet, because you're pathetic and your life is a void filled with nothing but sadness and misery.
One day you'll meet another JoJo fan in real life.
It's like Gravity.
You won't.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Everything's purple
Bojo's
haze.
Bizarre Election. I'm cutting this out.
We can't end it gracefully. It has to just fucking peter out
Just
like
JoJo.
JoJo eventually will.
What is that? An enemy stand user? Bye!
Oh no 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 muda 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 re